So I'm going to go ahead and get into the topic of destiny swapping and destiny transfer. I already know that this is going to be at least 2 or 3 parts. So y'all going to have to stick it out as I get through this. It's a lot to it, y'all. And I really had to pray to talk about this because I realized that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but at the same time, my person is able to put a face on a lot of this. You get what I'm saying? So it makes me navigate away from telling y'all the spiritual side of it, and that's what I want to stay in, like the spiritual side of it. But it's also a weird feeling because when I first came on this platform, I was terrified to open Pandora's box in regards to things in that lifestyle. Granted, I wrote a book about it, but even in the book, y'all, first of all, it speaks volumes about it, period. The book is Worried Warrior. So it's titled Worried Warrior in a way that God was displaying to me, like, you're always worried, but you don't understand I've made you a warrior. There is nothing, literally no weapon formed against you will prosper. But yeah, back to my point. When I first got on this app, I was like, I came from out of hiding after dealing with new age spirituality, going into witchcraft unknowingly. That's one thing I have to say. It was not me just knowing this is witchcraft. It was me thinking it was something, but then like the spirit kicked in and let me know, like, yo, this is not, it's deception. You're in witchcraft. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what that is. So when I got on this app, coming out of hiding, I'm like, okay, so obviously I got to talk about my book, but I'm not trying to piss no witches off. I don't have time to go through no more attacks. I don't have time for them sending their little minions, their little demons. Like, bro, I don't have time. As a lot of y'all know, I went through psychosis as a result of going through that lifestyle, a result of not being able to unsee the things that I seen in that lifestyle, and as a result to opening myself up to things I was not supposed to open myself up to. So coming on here, even if I seen somebody came across doing tarot cards, whatever, I'm scrolling and I'm blocking. I don't want no parts. Y'all, now I'm to the point where God has dealt with me in a way to let me know I've been prepared for this. Like, y'all gonna have to block me at this point because I'm not playing with y'all. Like, I'm not playing with the devil, y'all. I cannot play with the devil. When I tell you the stuff that I see, anybody that knows me know I have a heart for I'll say women, because that is to my core. I have a heart for women that are broken, women that don't know who they are, women that second guess what God has placed inside of them, women that second guess the things that they are capable of doing, women that second guess that there's another side to where you are when you are dealing with that brokenness. That is where my heart is. So as I'm seeing a lot of videos of people starting out the same way, like heading down the same path that I was going through, dealing with some type of brokenness, some type of identity crisis, which most of it is an identity crisis that starts when you're a child. You get what I'm saying? Like, we become broken because we go through life not knowing who we are, not knowing what God has placed inside of us, not knowing what we're capable of. So we fall for the okie doke when it comes to men, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to jobs. And then those things that was never even qualified for us ends up breaking us. And then we got to figure out how to unbreak us. But if we knew from the beginning our identity, we won't fall for that. But anyway, that is where my heart is for women, people in general, but women in particular that do not know who they are. And I'm seeing too many of us fall for the okie doke. When I talk about coming out of witchcraft, I think a lot of people's mind go to me willingly getting into that lifestyle. But I did not willingly go into that lifestyle. I willingly went into a commitment to heal. I willingly went into a commitment to understand my true self, my true identity, like who I am. Once I went through a divorce and I was extremely broken. When I tell y'all, think I could put into words how broken I was after my divorce. But that shifted me into not just grief, but into an identity crisis, where I was now like, imagine drowning and trying to just grasp onto anything to save me, to let me have something to stand on. I needed to know who I was. I needed to know my strength, because I was so broken that I was willing to take on anything just to build me. So again, when I went into that lifestyle, it was me wanting to heal. For one, I was tired of being broken. And then me wanting to build who I am. That was the goal. So it started with the healing. As I said in another video, I started with just doing healing crystals. You know, they promise to heal your heart and all of this. Like, I wanted to be healed. I wanted to not feel pain no more. I wanted to not wake up every day just wishing the pain would go away. Like, I was tired of hurting. Like, I was tired of hiding that I was hurting. I think that's another thing that people don't realize. People are tired of hurting, and they tired of putting on faces like they're not hurting. I was tired of masking. Like, I was tired, y'all. I was tired. So yeah, I went on a healing journey with the crystals first, and then from there, you know, sage and meditating, guided meditation. It was just all things that was supposed to just make me a better person, that make me a whole person. So I thought, right? But then, as I was explaining this to a family member, they were like, oh, well, you know, I know this spiritual advisor, like, you're on the right track. She'll let you, you know what I mean? She'll level this up for you. Like, we in it. Like, that was the thought. So she introduced me to the spiritual advisor, that I call a witch. She is a witch, but she calls herself a spiritual advisor. You get what I'm saying? So she did tarot reading. She did a lot of, I'm guessing, like candle work, whatever. So once I met her, we did a reading. It was just a regular reading. I wanted to know what I could do to make sure I was healing, making sure I was on the right path of healing. I was in a relationship by this time, and that was another reason why it was so weird to try to deal with that type of healing, from being broken from something else. You get what I'm saying? So we were doing that. She would pull cards, but like I said, it became very clear as she pulling the cards. She's like, oh, you got gifts. You get what I'm saying? That's not even what I came to you for. I'm trying to heal. Like, I wasn't even worrying about that. Honestly, that was the furthest thing from my mind. But that was one of the first things she's revealed. Like, you have gifts. She was like, I see a lot of gifts. I see some type of mediumship where, which she wasn't a medium. And she admitted, I'm not a medium. So like, hey, you know, like a spirit came to me about you. And I'm like, well, who was it? Like, who is it? And she was like, well, I don't know. I'm not a medium. You're the medium. You have to tell them to come to you. Okay? So that's why I said they don't even be knowing who they dealing with. But, and then she said, you know, you're a psychic. And then it was one in particular where she pulled a card and she was trying to work it to figure out, like, yo, what is it? I don't even know what this is in you. Like, I've never seen this. I don't know what it is, but it's really big. And it was really, like, protected, where she couldn't even tap into that. So that was one of the things that was revealed rather early, as well as she always talked about, like, my wealth, like things that were going to happen in the future. Like, you're going to be so set. She was like, you're going to be so set that your generations and generations is going to be set. Hold on, let me go ahead. It's going to be a part 2. Okay, so part 2 of destiny swapping and getting into new age spirituality. I'm going to get to the destiny. Y'all got to listen to the whole story. I'm going to get to it, y'all. I promise. Just stay with me. There is a build with this. Like, early on in my reading, she would talk about like my future, the things that would happen for me. Like, I think she said, you're going to be very influential. Like, I see you speaking in gatherings, and she was like, you're going to have so much wealth that I see generation after generation, like your grandchildren's grandchildren is going to benefit from what you're going to set in motion. That's one thing she would always talk about. Every time it would always go back to wealth and generational wealth. But then I don't know, I guess after a few weeks and me just going through the process, like, she would tell me, that's another thing to mention. She would ask what crystals I have based on what zodiac I tied myself to at the time. She would like recommend certain crystals. So I would get the crystals, and then she would send me on like, all right, so for this part, you're going to be working on, first it started with your heart chakra, right? Which she would send videos and different meditations and teach me how to meditate. Once she realized there was a certain gift that was attached to meditation, I had to get certain crystals for that. And then it was like incense. So I would meditate with these crystals that she recommended around me. And my meditations would take place in the weirdest way, y'all. Like, I never heard nobody talk about meditation like that. Like, I heard of everybody using it to like center themselves, and that's what I thought I was doing, like centering myself. Okay, my Walmart order's coming. Aligning my chakras, all of that. But once she told me that my heart chakra was cool, like after a while she knew that was the most damaged part, like my heart chakra. So that was what she was focused on first, and giving me all the steps to deal with that. Once my heart chakra was cool, my meditations changed. Like, that's when she started to focus on my other gifts. So I was getting all these like different type of crystals she would recommend for opening up different gifts. One of them, I couldn't even have that crystal for 2 days because it would move, it would jump, it would do a whole lot of different stuff. I'm like, yo, I don't want this, for one. And she kept telling me, like, the stuff that you're going to experience is going to happen really, really fast. So you just got to prepare yourself for everything unfolding fast. She told me that. So once I got this crystal, my vision started to get really weird. I've always been a dreamer, but I will say, quickly into that lifestyle, my dreams were taken away. They were gone, y'all. Like, gone. I couldn't dream if I wanted to. But anyway, with this particular crystal, like I said, everything was weird. Like, I was having really weird visions. I was being attracted to a lot of birds. Like, birds were very much attracted to me. And it would move, it would jump, and I'm noticing it, and I'm like, yo, no, you got to go. Like, you getting up out of here. First, I put it in my drawer, and it jumped out of my drawer, y'all, into my floor. Like, it was weird, okay? I got rid of that crystal that she recommended, and she wanted me to work on these gifts. So then, once I started my meditation, she gave me, like, different, she would guide me through every step of this journey, y'all. That's why I said it was like different tiers. So I would do meditation, and I'm used to everybody just talking about, you know, oh, she said I need to practice my breathing. My breathing was overwhelming her during my readings because I didn't know how to calm myself. And I'm like, well, I got anxiety, girl. Like, that's just me. Like, I'm not a calm person. But she got really overwhelmed by my spirit because I was overwhelmed. I was stressed out, and that crystal messed me up, y'all. When I tell you that crystal had me so stressed out about the things that was happening around me, by this time I'm seeing like spirits moving around in my room. Like, it was just so much unfolding so fast, y'all. So I got rid of that crystal, and she told me to get another one. I got this, whatever crystal that was. Anyway, going back to my meditation, there was two that really stuck out to me. Like, my meditations would be, I would just zone out and like go into a whole nother realm. One of them, the first one I went to when I was meditating, I could feel myself just like transitioning over to somewhere else, and I was like in this meadow. It was really beautiful, y'all. Like, the meadow was extremely beautiful. Like, the grass was as green as you can ever imagine grass being. Like, it was water flowing in the background. Like, it just was this serene, like, y'all, my body is like, whew. It was just a serene setting, and I was by myself. It was this log, and I was just in awe. Like, the smells, the butterfly, it was so much to take in just looking at this. Just, I don't know how to explain it. It was just this beautiful meadow, but it was this log, right? And I started walking on the log, just like admiring everything around me. Mind you, I'm meditating, y'all. I was admiring everything around me, like, yo, this is so beautiful. And then at the end of the log, I looked, and it was like this really dark forest, y'all. Like, you couldn't even see through it at all. I couldn't see through it at all. It was just dark. So imagine a bright sunny day in this beautiful green field with beautiful flowers, like butterflies, you seeing everything, and then all of a sudden you come into this dark forest. Like, it was straight ahead of me, just this dark forest you cannot see through, but it was clearly just dark. You get what I'm saying? Like, imagine like black, like I'm standing in light and it's this black forest ahead of me that I couldn't even see through. So I was sitting there I was walking on the log and I just stopped looking at this forest, like, and then this crazy fear just came over me. Like my whole body just shook. Like I snapped myself out of my meditation, which was kind of hard to do. And I was like, yo, what the hell was that? Like, I was fearful of going in there. Like, whatever that is, it's like I knew it was impending danger. Like, I was so terrified to even go any further and step outside of where I was in this light, pasture, whatever it is. So I went back to her like, yo, I'm not doing that no more. I don't even remember if it was the crystal or what. I'm like, I ain't doing that. That was weird. For one, I was like, and that forest was weird. Like, I just knew it's like something in there. I'm not going in there. And she was like, and see, that's where you're messing up. You have to go in there. That's the only way we're going to get to the other side. That's the only way you're going to end this cycle. Like, that's the only way you're going to level up from this cycle. Like, you have to go through that. Like, you're not allowed to back away. So you got to go back in there and you got to go through that forest. And I'm like, I know I've always been fearful, so I guess maybe dumb, y'all. Looking back, a lot of stuff I did was dumb. Everything I did, it was dumb. But so she was like, basically like, yeah, you're gonna have to go back in there, and this time when you face it, you're gonna have to go through it. And me being me and trusting the process, knowing that I got these spirit guides, that's what she kept saying, your spirit guides is with you, like you're heavily protected. You're not by yourself. And spirit did not play about me, apparently. So she was like, you're heavily protected, like go. So y'all, part 3. So part 3 of destiny swapping and destiny transfer. Like I said, coming out of that meditation, and I did not want to do meditation anymore. Like, I knew they were getting really weird. Like, nobody else was talking about that. And that was another thing. She would not allow me to speak about things that I was going through. Like, it had to be between me and her, especially if it was something that I was curious about, or like, yo, I don't feel like this is. She was like, don't talk about it. Like, don't talk negatively about your journey. Like, just only speak positive. So I became really accustomed to not talking about it, especially when I have other people in the same lifestyle. And nobody is experiencing what I'm experiencing. So it's like, I don't know. I trusted her, y'all. I'm not even that type of person. Like, it's really weird. But anyway, coming out of that meditation and me just knowing like something wasn't right. Like, what is that darkness? But I felt like the only way that I can get through to the other side of my healing and like this cycle that I was on was to go through it. So I knew if it came back up, I'm gonna have to go through whatever that darkness was to get to the other side of whatever she was showing me. Like, all right, so this is what I'm showing you. Everything that's going to happen in your life, all of these things is yours, but you got to get through this. And mind you, I'm thinking I'm healing, so I'm like, I know it's not going to be easy. Let me just go ahead and finish what we started. Dumb. Anyway, another meditation I had I thought was really weird was, mind you, by this point I was experiencing a lot as far as like spiritually, the things that I would see, the things that I would witness moving around in my house. Like, it was a lot happening. So I got my boyfriend as well as my children these satchels of crystals for protection. They all had different crystals for protection and clarity, because I didn't want them to come in contact with anything. But I thought that car was about to hit him. This one particular time I was meditating, and by this time I introduced my kids to meditation as a way to just calm. And what I was witnessing in my meditation, like when I came out of the meditation, my daughter was describing her meditation, and she was like, Mom, I seen you while I was meditating. And I was like, what do you mean? And she described the same thing that I was seeing during my meditation. No. That was the last time I meditated, because what? And that's why I said you got to understand, when you give them access to certain things, they're accessing your children, right? And this woman was very particular about the crystals that she would tell me to get. Like, I need you to get this one for this part of the journey, this one for this part of, like, y'all, it was, looking back, man, somebody should have punched me in my face. Like, what were you doing, girl? I feel like God just completely took away my common sense during that time. Like, cause I'm not even that person to follow. Like, yo, I don't know. It's weird. But also talk about me having a vision one night. She had took me on. This is when all of my chakras were now aligned, and we were working on a pineal gland, aka the third eye, right? Which is the highest level of enlightenment. And because you're gifted, opening your third eye is just going to make everything even better. You're really going to get into all of this healing and all of this abundance that these cards are telling you week after week. All of these things that is for you. I'm trying to make sure you get it, girl. Let's go ahead and open up this third eye. So she sent me these videos to listen to. She was like, put them on as you go to sleep. And me, right, dumb, I already knew sleep wasn't sleep. By this time, I'm not sleeping. I'm sitting here watching these freaking demons dance around in my room. I'm feeling these crystals dance all over my body all night. Y'all, I would have crystals start under my pillow and end up on my chest, between my legs. I would literally wake up to feeling the crystals that I put under my pillow tumbling down my body. And that's why I said I will wake up to see demons, and the whole time she's telling me like, yo, you're so heavily protected, the angels are surrounding you, da 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 da. Like, she always said that, y'all. And I will wake up, like I said, the crystals just rolling all over my body, which was supposed to be not abnormal because of my gifts. But I will also wake up sore sometimes. Okay. So I asked her one time, I was like, yo, I know I'm not tripping. The crystals are moving. I'm seeing spirits in my room. They don't feel like protective angels to me. And mind you, during this time, I'm still heavily under deception. Like, I'm believing that 444 means I have angels protecting me. I was believing all of that, but I knew, my spirit knew, y'all. So I'm telling her, like, yo, mind you, I can't talk about it, but I'm going back to her like, these crystals are moving. They're doing things they're not supposed to do. And, you know, I'm seeing things moving throughout my room. Like, it's too many coincidences. Like I said, I'm not even getting all into the birds. The birds were watching. I was able to tell any color if it was mainly blue and red. Okay, so it's like big brown birds that would feel like they're stalking. I would feel them as like stalking me. But red and blue birds, if I needed something, like if I said, okay, so if this is what I'm supposed to do, send me a red bird. I don't care where I'm at. I don't care what time of day it is. A red bird is going to fly by. Y'all, on cue. All right. If I need something else, like it depends on what it was. I'm asked for a red or a blue bird. And during that time, a red or a blue bird is going to, y'all, when I tell you, it does not matter the time or what, a red or blue bird is going to fly by and make it so apparent that it's for whatever I'm saying out loud, speaking out my mouth, that I clearly know, like, okay, boom. So that's my confirmation. I never exposed that until I exposed it to one other person. And I was sitting in there and I wanted to tell her, because by this time I was bubbling over, and I'm like, yo, I really want to tell you the stuff that I'm experiencing because I feel like I'm going crazy. And mind you, she was on the same journey. I introduced her to the journey, but I was like, I'm not allowed to talk about this. Like, I don't know what to do. We were sitting in the car and I was like, Spirit, if I can share with her the things that I'm experiencing right now, send me a blue bird. And a blue bird flew by and she was like, what the, like, lost it. Like, what in the world? So I started explaining. And she was always curious, like, why is my journey not like that? Like, how are you able to do that? It was weird. I was able to do some weird stuff, y'all. But at the same time, it was crazy. Anyway, so, okay, I was talking about her guiding me to opening up my third eye. So this particular night, she sent me the YouTube video, and she was like, listen to it as you're sleeping. And you know, your subconscious is going to go ahead and receive everything, the frequencies that she will always send me, like different frequencies to sleep, because I was telling her like the spirits are weird, I don't know, and that was supposed to calm me. But this particular night she sent me something with frequency in the background, but it was a man talking, and he was talking about opening your pineal gland, and I don't even know what all he was saying because I fell asleep. But the next night I was up And I was just shifted from my room, y'all. I was sitting on my bed and my body, I can't even say my body, like my spirit, I don't know what, something came out of me. My body was on the bed. My consciousness was somewhere else, y'all. I was placed in this dark basement as me. And mind you, she told me I was going into shadow work to break off whatever. My consciousness was somewhere else, where I was placed in this dark basement. And I was basically guided to keep walking, like walking this basement. So it's almost like you have to feel your way around. That's how dark this basement was. And I'm feeling my way around, but the whole time, the more I start walking, the more my body was just overtaken with this crazy fear. And I finally got to this corner, and I'm looking, and it was a child sitting there with her knees like up to her chest. And I'm like, yo, first of all, why am I here, and who is this child? But the closer I got to this child, y'all, the fear that was inside of me was just so, I could feel everything that she was feeling. So I'm like, who is this, and why is she scared? She was in chains. It was a dark basement, and she was terrified. I was feeling everything she was feeling. When she finally looked up at me, y'all, it was me at like 6 or 7 years old. I lied to you not. It messed me up. Like, why is she here, and what is she scared of? Y'all, hold on. Part 4. Sorry. So part 5 of Destiny Swapping and going into New Age, y'all. So like I said, I was, this particular night, I was in the basement, and I came in contact with my younger self. And like I was saying, I was experiencing her fear. It was a very intense fear that it was almost paralyzing. And I was sitting staring at her, and I remember once I realized it was me, I was confused. Like, why am I here? Why am I seeing this? And why is she so afraid? It was nothing around her. It was just she was in this dark space, like this dark basement. So I wanted to take her. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to just tell her, like, yo, you're good. Like, what is wrong? It was just the oddest experience, y'all. But I knew, I still get chills when I think about that. Like, the feeling, it still sticks with me. Like, that fear, that intense fear, it still sticks with me. So I snapped myself back. And like I said, my body was still sitting on my bed. So I backed myself like against my wall, where my back was like against the wall, because I felt like I knew I wasn't in the room by myself. I knew that I was being monitored. So I could feel like the spirits surrounding me, which they always there, but this time it was just so oppressive, where I just could feel them hovering me. And it was too late to call the witch. So I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this experience. Like, usually if something happens, I know, like, she'll tell me, like, okay, so you gotta go through this, This particular time, it's late at night. Like, I want to say like 2 o'clock in the morning, witching hours. I didn't know what to do. So I started to Google. Well, first I knew I was doing shadow work, where I had to be introduced to my shadow self. So I'm like, maybe it has something to do with that. But so I started journaling, and in my journal, I was trying to talk to her, and I was like, what do you need from me? Like, what can this me do for that you to get you from out of there? Like, what are you doing there? And I was trying to make anything come up, like anything that would make sense to free her, or to, like, I was still trapped in that experience. Like, I was still feeling that fear, right? The fear. Ooh, yo, Jesus. I just got another revelation about that. But I was still feeling that fear. So I was trying to write until I could free myself from that fear. And it was not working. It wasn't. At this point, I started to Google, like, what the hell is that? Like, what is that? So Google, of course, Google always going to tell you're dying. Google told me I was dying. Like, you're going into being okay with your shadow self to help you be escorted into your life ending. And I'm like, cool, I'm fine with that at this point, y'all. I'm telling you, like, the stuff that I was experiencing was just so crazy. I needed to imagine every day that being your life, though. Like, the spirits, everything. I was not able to sleep. I was not able to, everything was just like it felt like a constant journey that I was trapped in, and I couldn't get myself out of. Like, I was already in too deep, can't get myself out of. And the only way to get through it is to keep going through it. That was my main thing. Like, the only way to get through all of this is to keep going through it. Like, I'm not going to go through all this and then I went through it and then I'm just stuck. You get what does that make sense? It probably don't. It shouldn't. Don't do it. Anyway, I remember how oppressive those spirits was that night. I stayed up that entire night. I was scared of the dark after that. Like, I did not want to sleep. I did not want to see nighttime. My boyfriend at the time was working night shift. So that made it even worse because nobody was home with me. My kids were with their dad. Like, it was, and they couldn't save me no way. That's one thing I always say. Like, my boyfriend is very protective. Like, physically, nothing can happen to me with him. He's going to protect me. But spiritually, I feel like I couldn't be protected. After that, I was explaining that situation to her. And again, which brings me back to what I was talking about yesterday when the girl that's going through psychosis currently was like, the woman always knew the stuff that she was experiencing. Like, she wasn't surprised. So, of course, every time I went to this woman and explained these crazy occurrences, she was never surprised about anything. And even down to, like, the crystals, me saying, like, yo, I can see the spirits at night. They don't feel like angels. These are dark spirits. They don't give angel. They don't give angel. And I was like, and these crystals are moving. I don't think they're supposed to move. And then finally I'm like, yo, do crystals move? Are they supposed to be moving? Like, are they supposed to be moving around on my body? Do they move? And she was just like, yeah, they move. And it was just something about the way she said it that I knew I didn't want her to explain. Like, she said it like, dang, I gotta tell her. But it was just that. And the way she said it was almost like I knew she wasn't trying to explain it, but it was fine because I wasn't trying to get an explanation. I just needed to know I wasn't tripping. These crystals are moving over my body at night. There are spirits moving around my room at night. And the longer I went on, imagine being in a club and you just bumping into a whole bunch of people. The more deeper I got into this thing, y'all, the more spirits I was seeing. Like, they was probably bumping into each other. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I wasn't even realizing how much I was letting in, thinking I was going on a healing journey, y'all. Everything that I was doing, every step that I would take would give her different access, give the spirits different access, right? Okay, so just imagine it getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It got worse, y'all. Everything got worse to the point, I don't remember what cycle I was in. I don't remember where I was at. I knew that my third eye was just about open, if not open. But I do know when I went through Deliverance at a church, they were praying and I kept hearing them saying they was trying to close this. And I've never experienced that in a church. Even like going through Deliverance services, they were trying so hard to close it. I never even told them like I had opened it, but honey, when I tell you they were closing it, never seen that before. But anyway, okay, so let's get into the monitoring, right? Once the spirits had gotten so bad in my room, the cousin that introduced me to the witch, right? I finally told her, like, in a joking way, I was like, yo, it's like spirits everywhere in my room. Like, I can't even sleep. And I was trying to make light of it because I wasn't allowed to talk about it. But then too, it was a double thing because you can't talk about it negatively. Like, so I said it like it was just lighthearted, but at the same time, like, yo, this is weird. Like, are you experiencing this, girl? That's how I pretty much said it. And she was like, oh, girl, cover your mirrors. She was like, they using your mirrors as portals then to get in there at night. And I'm like, no, right? But at the same time, by this time, I'm kind of aware that this witch is more than what she's telling me she is. Like, I feel like she was showing up in places as different things, if that makes sense. And it's going to sound crazy until it doesn't, right? But I'm like, yo, between the spirits in my room, between the crystals moving, you not being surprised about nothing. Granted, I knew she could tap in and see me, exactly what I'm doing, exactly what I'm feeling when she wanted to. I'm like, yo, she's doing more than what she's making it. Like, you're very much aware and you're very much present more than you're saying you're present. So anyway, this particular cousin told me to cover my mirrors that night. And I covered my mirrors that night. And I don't even remember how it came back up to the tarot reader, but she was like, wait, what are you doing? I was like, covering my mirrors, like, because she said it can serve as a portal. Mind you, the cousin is in the same little group, like the training as me. So she was like, why would she tell you that? And I was like, I mean, because I said it was spirit. She was like, uncover your mirrors. Uncover your mirrors. Like, she was mad, y'all. Like, so mad. She was like, don't take advice from her. You're not covering your mirrors. Y'all, why she blocked my cousin from the group and muted her? First, she muted her where she couldn't talk on the group. And then she blocked her from the mute. That's how mad she was that she told me to cover my mirrors. Part, 6? Hold on. Okay, so it's actually part 5, y'all. I didn't record this 3 times and it's been deleted. I'm kind of irritated. But, yeah, so she ended up blocking and muting my cousin that introduced me to her because she told me to cover my mirrors. And this is also important to note because I talked about like different tiers. The more you would go through a cycle, the higher up you would go in these tiers in the group, right? And I want to note that some people, their greatest power in that lifestyle is their ability to draw people to the lifestyle. They're like pawns, right? So the worse I would feel as I go throughout these cycles, right? The higher up my cousin will go in this group. And it was really confusing. Like, why do she get higher and higher? The worse I feel. The more I felt life being sucked out of me, the higher up my cousin would go in these tiers. Once the third eye chakra was being activated, I talk about the higher up I went, the more dead I felt, y'all. And that came with audible voices telling me I was dying. Every single day, all throughout the day. And not even just hearing an audible voice telling me I was dying. Imagine having a 100-pound blanket that just falls on you all day long. I would hear I'm dying, but it would be accompanied with this heaviness, like a blanket just falling on me to not just let me hear you're dying, but to make you feel the heaviness of you're dying. Like every day, all day long, all I would hear, you're dying. And the voice was not like a whisper. In mental health, they're going to call it like schizophrenia. You're hearing voices, whatever. But that voice came with power. And it came as a warning. Like, it didn't just feel like, oh, you're dying, girl, you're dying. No. That voice had so much power behind it, where it wasn't just a voice. It was a feeling that made me know whatever that was, it was not planned. It was not planned. I would hear that so much, y'all, to the point where I finally was like, yo, I told the witch, I was like, I'm hearing I'm dying, girl. And she was like, you're not dying. If anything, you're just dying to your old self. We got to get this cycle. Like, if you want to get to what we see, you're going to have to keep going. Like, you can't give up. And I don't understand. She would get irritated. I don't understand why you be acting like you're so scared. Do you know who's behind you? Like, do you know who's protecting you? Like, she was tired of me crying about it. For real. Like, she was tired of me crying about it. Like, girl, do you know who you got protecting you? And you won't keep coming. I told you this stuff is going to happen fast. That's what she kept saying too. Like, I told you all this stuff is going to unfold fast. Like, you know this. Like, just stay the course, pretty much. I was hearing I was dying. And it was to the point where I was coming into agreement with it. Because the voice had so much power behind it that I knew it wasn't playing with me. Like, in my mind, I gave my soul up. You went too far. And the consequence of going too far, knowing you went too far, is death. I knew I messed up. Like, I knew I messed up at that point. But I had a reading, and during that time where I was telling her everything that was happening, and she was like, if you knew what spirits are coming through to talk to you, girl, like, she was like, the angels are like, the way they look at you, they like kissing your feet. Basically, like, and you up here crying, like, you good. And she was like, and it's one, do you know who's coming through to talk to you? She was like, if you knew who was coming through to talk to you, they are so happy that I'm talking to you right now. And I was like, well, who is it? Because I mentioned before, she wasn't a medium. She said I was the medium. So I'm seeing what you're feeling. You get what I'm saying? So even her saying like the angels that's coming in when we would do certain readings, and she was like, it's like the angels would like hover in around her to talk to me. And I would not see during the readings on her end like individuals. Like in my room, I would see individual beings all around, but during a reading, it was like a black smoke around her. So I knew it's not light, y'all. Like, that's not light. I don't know why I kept trying to gaslight myself to think that. So she's saying it's angels. Like I said, I would see the dark beings around her as like smoke, right? But during the readings as well, I would feel the oppression around me. Like, imagine seeing with the back of your head. That's what it's like. Like, I would see the dark figures around me, but they would also come with this heavy feeling to let me know they were there. Like, I could feel it. So when she's talking about this like powerful spirit came in and it was excited to speak to me during this time, I'm like, well, who is it? And she was like, girl, I don't know, I'm not a medium. Like, you the medium, you tell me. And I was like, she was like, I said, well, I can't see him, so I need to know who it is. Like, ask him who all over there, pretty much. And she was like, well, you're gonna have to ask him yourself and tell him to reveal himself to you. I was like, I can't do that right now. For one, I'm hearing all day that I'm dying. I'm seeing spirits everywhere. I'm not able to deal with no type of revelation right now. Like, I'm not equipped for that right now. Like, I can't handle that right now. And she was always really irritated by how, I guess, scared I was. So she was like, well, ask him to reveal himself to you in a way that's not going to scare you. So I'm like, okay, thinking I had to, again, another situation. I felt like I had to just get through it. So I was like, well, can you reveal? And y'all, I don't want to get too deep into it because it'll go too far. Like, it'll take forever. But I was recognizing me being monitored, like, through places and things that you wouldn't expect to be worked through. I was being monitored. And that's why I said she was doing way more than she want to say she was doing. But all right, so I got off the call and I was like, all right, spirit, it's AC off, y'all. It's hot in here. I need you to reveal yourself in a way that's not going to scare me, because right now I'm scared. It's too much going on. It's happening too fast. Like, you're going to have to come to me in my dreams or something. And even though I knew God had took my dreams away during that time, that's what I said. Like, I'd rather you come in my dreams, because I can't have no face-to-face encounters with nothing right now. So after that, the day after that, my visions was getting really crazy, y'all. I was seeing stuff. A lot was happening that day. The visions was crazy. Like, it was so much going on. Like, even down to, like, everywhere I would go, the lights would flicker. I was seeing 666 everywhere. Like, 666 every tag plate, everywhere I went. And add that to the fact that I'm hearing you're dying with this heaviness. By the end of the night, I was losing my mind. I went to a gas station because my boyfriend wasn't home and I didn't want to go in the house by myself. I got to the gas station, and mind you, after seeing 666 for all day, I finally started to see 1111, which kind of gave me like, I don't know what this is. It's about to be something's about to happen. I had these crystals in my hand because I was recognizing like a heaviness. I was rolling the crystals around in my hand, hoping they could protect me. And I was at the gas station. This car pulled up beside me, and it was just immediate like connection to this car. And they never got out the car. I was still sitting in my car, and I was just rolling my crystals around like, I don't know what this is. I ended up leaving, going to another gas station like 15 minutes away. Like, yeah, I'm gonna just wait here. The same car pulls up, y'all, and I'm back into the gas station. My windows are tinted, and I'm just looking at this car like, yo, I know damn well this is not the same car. A guy gets out the car, and mind you, I had satchels that I keep my crystals in. He had the same satchel in his hand, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, rolling these crystals around. Why this man get out, stand at the back of his car, doing this with his hands, just staring at me? And he obviously didn't say nothing, but it was like a communication through the spirit, where my whole body just froze, y'all. Like, I could not break my stare from this man. He was not breaking his stare from me, and he was just steady rolling his crystals until I finally realized he was moving his hand the same way I was moving my hand, with my crystals in my hand. part 6. Okay, so part 6 of destiny swapping and spiritual attack coming out of New Age spirituality. I've recorded this particular part so many times, y'all, and I think I understand why God would not allow me to go on and upload those particular parts, because this part in particular is something that I feel like God has left a blank there for so long. There's been so many different think pieces and debates about what this could be. So I have to be intentional about not leaning on my own understanding with this particular part of the story and giving facts for this. So I'm gonna have to back up a little bit to give more detail for this. As I said, I was at the gas station. I came in contact with this man, y'all, and this is where I backtrack, because that entire day was, are you about to hit me? That entire day was crazy, y'all. When I tell you I was spiraling. Like, the stuff that I was experiencing, I was always warned that everything is going to happen fast, especially because I don't know if it's the track that she had me on as far as like opening up the gifts and whatever, but I was always warned, like, it's going to happen fast. Like, just stay grounded, whatever. I could not stay grounded. And that's another reason why in a previous video I said my spirit was overwhelming her. That was something that she always made me go back to. Like, you have to stay grounded because things are going to happen fast, right? I could not stay grounded. I'm not a grounded person. Like, I have anxiety. Like, it was hard for me. But this particular day, everything was absolutely crazy, y'all. When I say by the time night fell, I was over it. Like, it was crazy. Absolutely nuts. One of the things that I realized, I was not in a space to go home by myself that night. My boyfriend wasn't there, so I already made up in my mind, like, I'm going to stay somewhere, like, go to a parking lot and wait for my boyfriend to come home. I'm not going in the house by myself tonight, right? So shortly after that, I started noticing, like, everywhere I went, it was just lights flashing. Like, everywhere I went, whether it was like, it was a Honda dealership, right? And it was closed, so all the lights were off. Like, all the lights that says Honda was off. And then when I went past it, all the lights started flickering. It was red lights that I was passing, and the red lights would start flickering. Like, y'all, everywhere I went, it was lights flashing. Quite literally. So then I was like, you know what? I need to go somewhere that's busy where I can see people, because I just felt like I was by myself. I was losing my mind. I wasn't able to talk to people. So I pulled up to a restaurant, and I just parked my car, and where the light was above my car in the parking lot, it just started flashing, like, really fast. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But at the same time, I started to have a vision during this time. I was sitting in the car, and when I say I was experiencing every sense in this vision, like, usually it's just me seeing a visual. But this particular time, I started smelling liquor, like, really strong. And then I started to see, like, police lights flashing. And then I started to hear something about, like, drunk driving. So I'm starting to panic because, I'm already, like, on 10. But the fact that I'm seeing this vision, my mind automatically went to my boyfriend. So I'm like, yo, all of this is warning me about him. I got to help and call him, like, see what's going on. So I called him in a panic. I'm like, babe, like, are you drinking and driving? Like, what's going on? Like, I am clearly panicked. And he's always nonchalant. And he's like, babe, no, like, I'm about to leave. Like, what are you talking about? So we on the phone. And while we on the phone, he gets pulled over. And the cop was like, I pulled you over because you have a tail light out and we have a lot of drunk driving in this area. So I'm like, cool. Like, I feel like I dodged that. You get what I'm saying? Like, I felt like I could calm down. So I'm like, all right, let me just go to this gas station and wait for him to get back. Like, I thought that was it. Like, that's why everything was crazy. I saved them from whatever that was, right? So I got to the gas station, like I said. That's where I left off. I got to the gas station, and as I said, also, I was experiencing 666 for, like, days at this point, like 3 days. And I was always told, gaslighted, always, to believe that that means I need to change the way that I'm thinking. Like, I grew up in church. 666 ain't never been something that I want to play with. But that just means change the way you think. And it never settled, but okay. I was seeing 666. And then when I got to this gas station, it changed from 666 to 1111. And I knew that 1111 means something was about to manifest. Not just me knowing 1111 means something was about to manifest, but just because of the heaviness that I was feeling. I'm like, yeah, this is about to be crazy. So I pulled out my crystals, and I was sitting there, like, needing these crystals to protect me from whatever I knew I was about to come in contact with. I just knew it was something about to happen, y'all. Like, I knew it. So I'm sitting there and a car pulls up. I don't know what it is about this car that already made me realize like something's not right, but something didn't settle well in my spirit. They sat there for as long as I was sitting there, which was like, I was there for like probably 10 minutes. And I'm like, yo, what is the odds of somebody sitting at a gas pump without getting out for this long like me? It just didn't set right. So I was like, all right, I'm going to leave. I left. The car never even pulled out, y'all. Never pulled out. I went to another gas station 15 minutes away. And then once I was there for probably like, I'll say like 4 minutes, y'all, I'm backed in. I'm at a Wawa. I'm backed in at a parking spot this time on the side of the building. I see the same car pull in. And I'm looking like my eyes is just buck like, yo, no, absolutely not. The car pulls in front of me and parks like directly in front of me, right? So by this time I'm locked in, like I'm like glued to my seat, like, no, what in the world, right? The guy gets out. As I said, I kept my crystals in like a purple satchel, right? A little velvet satchel. He got out the car, went to the back of his car and pulled out a purple satchel. I'm like, yo, that looked just like my purple satchel, for one. But for two, he came out and he stood behind his car, like directly looking into my car, y'all. My car, my windows are tinted. So it was crazy that he was even able to locate me in the car, to see me in the car, and it's dark. But something about the way that he looked at me, I was immediately arrested by the way that he looked at me. Like, I could not move. I could not break my stare. I could not do nothing, y'all. But another thing about the way that he looked at me was, I knew without him saying anything, and that's what's crazy. Like, the communication was not through words. I knew that he knew everything about me. He knew everything that I was going through. Like, I described it when I wrote it, that even through these dark windows, I felt seen. And mind you, nobody understood. I was not able to explain a lot to nobody but this woman. So him looking at me was the first time I'm like, yo, he knows everything. Like, he knew the crazy day that I was having. He knew that I felt like I was losing my mind. This man looking at me let me know that he knew absolutely everything about me, right? Another thing to note is I knew he could not come any further. Like, he was at the back of his car and he took a few steps forward, like to stand in between my car and his car, but he had to stop. Something was stopping him. And once I came to that realization, like, yo, he can't come any closer, I was still doing this. Like, I still had my crystals in my hand doing this, and I looked down and realized he was making his hand in the same motion as me with these crystals. And I'm like, yo, he's doing the same thing I'm doing. It was so weird, y'all, but I'm just steady. Like, I was stuck looking at this man. It was terrifying. It was like so many different emotions just staring at this man. I knew whoever was standing in front of me was somebody that was extremely powerful. He carried a very big energy that could not be ignored, and I could not turn away if I wanted to. It wasn't until he got back in his car that I was really, like, again, released. Like, oh my God, what the heck was that? I'm overwhelmed. My boyfriend get home. I'm trying to sleep. I don't even remember that night, to be quite honest with you. The next morning, I called the witch, and I'm like, yo, and I'm telling her everything that happened. And again, she's trying to calm me down, like, yo, I told you, everything's going to happen fast. Like, that's not abnormal, da-da-da-da. Like, just calm down. You got to ground yourself. Then I was like, and then this man came, and I was explaining to the man and how everything just led up to, like, his introduction. Like, and then this man, I will never forget him, but I needed her to tell me I was tripping. I needed her to say, like, that's something you just overthought because of everything that happened first, you know, just calm down, right? She stopped and was like, you know exactly who that was. Girl, no, I don't know exactly who that was. But during that moment, it made me realize again that she knew more than she was playing. Like, I do not know who he was. And a lot of times I think she thought I was playing dumb when she would say certain things, like, do you know what spirits is showing up for you? Like, you act like you don't know, da-da-da-da. Like, and she was so serious. You know exactly who that man was. No, it's what, 4, 5 years? I still don't know who this man was. I have ideas. I went to church later. Actually, I'm gonna get into that, part 7. Part 7 of Destiny Swapping and Spiritual Attack coming out of New Age Spirituality. I am trying to wrap this up, y'all. I'm trying. But anyway, I left off on part 6 about me going to the spiritual advisor after coming in contact with this man. and her telling me, like, you know exactly who he is. I'm assuming that she came to this conclusion based on our previous reading, when she was like, it's like this certain, like, a powerful spirit that was coming up to speak to me, and I was asking her who he was, and she said he has to reveal himself to you. And I said I wasn't ready for that because I was experiencing too much. So I was already, like, dealing with a lot, and I wasn't ready for that type of revelation, the way that she was explaining him. So she said to have him come to you in a way that won't scare you. And then the next day, I'm thinking it was the next day or so. It had to be, I think it was the next day. This is when I come in contact with this man. So again, going back to her saying, you know exactly who he is. In my mind, I'm like, no, I don't. But at the same time, I was thrown off because I needed her to tell me that that was something that I made up in my mind. I didn't want to come to an understanding that spiritual can manifest physically. Like, I can physically see this. You get what I'm saying? Like, I did not want to think that was a thing. Although I kind of knew it was a thing. I don't know. I just wanted her to tell me I was crazy, and that wasn't the case. But also during this time, I was always praying to God. Like, I was still praying, but this time I knew I had to be more intentional, because I recognized, like, the only way I'm going to get out of this is not me keep going through it. And that was my thing. Like, as far as I went in it and the things that I was experiencing, I was like, it's no way I could just be like, okay, never mind. And I'm still just stuck with all of this stuff that's happening. Like, I can't. I would have to keep going in order to get to the other side where this is not so crazy, right? So by this time, I'm like, look, either they just gonna have to take me out, or I have to stop. Like, this has to stop. So I knew I had to turn to God, like, intentionally. Like, my heart had to turn back to God. And I was already in that place. By the time we got on that call, I was already in that place. Like, this has to stop. It's a lot that transpired that I'm not talking about because I don't think it's relevant for this particular story time. But again, I did write a whole book, y'all. Worried Warrior, everywhere books are sold. All the details is in there. But so when I went to her, and I'm like, I had intentionally turned my heart back to God, and I knew that I needed help. Like, I knew that her guiding me through this was not going to be me getting on the other side the way that I thought it was. The only other option I seen was me not being here. Like, whether it was unaliving myself or just, listen, I just knew it was, going down that path was not going to be it. My heart was to God. I didn't know how to get back to him. But during that time, she kept pulling these cards for me, and she wasn't able to read me no more. Like, whatever card she was pulling, she could not read me. Like, she wasn't able to tap into anything. She didn't even give me my money back, because I actually paid for that reading. It was like $40, and I think it was like 4 cards that was supposed to be pulled. The first card was, I'm thinking it was like an upside down person or something, which I kept getting. Like, that past 2 weeks, I kept getting that card, and she kept asking me, like, who are you praying to? Like, are you praying? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, you got to talk to who you praying to. This time was no different. She pulled the card, but even those times, she would keep pulling my cards to say, like, you know, just keep going on your path, da-da-da-da. This particular time, when she pulled that card, she couldn't go no further. She pulled that card, and that was it. Didn't even do the rest of the cards. Like, the reading was over. She couldn't do nothing. So, then I was like, you know what? Basically, like, I bow out. I'm done. I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and take some time to rethink all of this. And I was like, I thank you for all of your help, because I did come in here spiritually bankrupt. You did give me something to actually believe in. And you've been a blessing. And she looked at me and was like, you've been a blessing too. And the way that she said it, and the way that she looked at me, just gave me this really uncomfortable feeling, though. Like, I've been a blessing too. That let me know. That let me know I was just, like, being used in a way that I did not know I was being used. But anyway, that particular night, y'all, I was a mess. I feel like God had literally just softened my heart that night. Like, he removed the veil for one, and I just finally seen exactly what everything was. And it's so stupid to me, because this whole time, up until that point, I didn't see things that way. I was getting ideas. I was feeling, I knew it was not right. But once I intentionally turned my heart to God, it's like everything was revealed. Like he just took the scale off of my eyes, and I realized, like, yo, I've been dancing with the devil this whole time. Yo, I broke down. And when I tell you I broke down, I was a mess. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I was in my bathroom in the floor, 4 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, I'm used to listening to worship music and just getting in my secret place. This time I was listening to my worship music, but instead of me, like, it didn't feel like worship. It felt like sorrow. Like I was extremely sorrowful. Like I was extremely, like, in a way. And I remember before going into all of this, I was in a weird way with religion, like with my walk with God. Like I always believed in God, but after realizing things about the people that use the Bible, I started questioning the Bible. So obviously that came with questioning Jesus. Like I just felt like that was something that was force fed to us before I got into this lifestyle. So it was shaky. I was in a perfect space to be deceived. But during this time at the floor of my bathroom, it's nighttime. I'm just a mess. Y'all, I'm a mess. Worship music going. And I remember God bringing back to my memory where I was with Jesus before I got into that. Like you weren't, your faith wasn't strong in him. You were doubting him. You were doubting the Bible. You were doubting everything. But it was like really an eye-opener for me, because during this time and me knowing what I'm dealing with, like the spiritual warfare I was under, I needed everything about Jesus to be real, because that was the only way that God was going to accept me. Like I needed for him to have died on the cross for my sins. I needed for him to have thought about the things that I was going to do wrong before I did them, and still gave me access to God. You get what I'm saying? And I know at that time, it's like it came back to me that the only way to the Father is through the Son. So regardless of where I was before about Jesus, I'm now coming to the conclusion that in order for me to get to God and get to my healing, it has to start with him. Like this is what he died for. And that was even still hard for me to accept. But during this time, y'all, I was a mess. I stayed in the floor all night. I ended up, that very next day was Sunday. Thank God. I dragged myself to church that Sunday. I was the first person in the church, y'all. The pastor was there. And the keyboard player was there. The pastor just looked up. This was a church I was going to with my ex-husband before. So I wasn't unfamiliar with the church. But the pastor looked up from whatever he was doing, his notes, when I walked in. And then he just kind of gave me this look and put his head back down. Honey, I was in that seat sobbing. Before nobody's in the service, I'm just in there. I felt like I dragged a dead body into the seat. I was a mess, y'all. Just, I don't even know. But that particular service, the pastor called me out. At the end of the service, he was like, I've been looking at you since you've been here. And he said something that was weird. He was like, the glory of God is on your life. And I'm like, yo, he's lying. How? Like, how? But then he was like, I see somebody trying to lead you to a path, but God said he had to cut them off because you will live and not die. He wrapped me up, y'all, so well during this thing. Like, and he was like, God told me to tell you, you're going to get your mind back quickly. He told me to tell you he's going to show up and fight for you. He was like, there's some type of legal thing going on. I don't know what it is, but it's a legal thing going on. But God said, even with that, he's going to fight for you. And during that time, y'all, I knew he wasn't talking about physical. It was something spiritually, legally going on. But then he was like, you went through the fire and you don't smell like smoke. And then he stopped and was like, you've seen him without dying. And he even looked puzzled when he said it. But I immediately went back to that man. And this is going to have to be a part 8. I'm sorry. Running out of time. Okay, so part, 8 of destiny swapping and spiritual attack coming out of New Age spirituality. So I left off at being in church, and the pastor was telling me that he left off with, you went through the fire and you don't smell like smoke. And then he was like, you've seen him without dying. And again, I went back to that man. But then too, like I said, he was talking about some type of legal thing. And I knew when he said there's some type of legal thing going on that it was not physical. Granted, he didn't know what I had just came from. He also said that I had told God the night before that I couldn't keep living like this, which I did. Like, I kept telling him, like, yo, if this is going to be my life, I don't want to be here. But going back to the legal thing, I feel like that set off something in me that was very unhealthy mentally. But again, he also said, God said he's going to get your mind back quickly. And mind you, I'm on the brink of psychosis. Like, I knew I was slipping. Something wasn't right. But I was on the brink. So when he said, God said he's going to get your mind back quickly, I'm like, cool. So I'm going to be good. I never even imagined, like, things are going to get 1,000 times worse. But I'm going to say up front, the closer I tried to get to God, the more I started slipping, y'all. But also, when I said that I was coming out of that lifestyle, I was telling the same family member that introduced me to the witch, I was like, I'm bowing out. Like, I can't do this. I'm going to just go back to what I know. Like, I'm going to rely on God. And she was like, you got to wait. Don't get out right yet. She was like, I have to go to the store. Well, it's a mystical store for witches. I have to go to the store and get something for a spell because she's going to attack you. Like, you can't just bow out. Like, I have to do something. Or she had a friend that was a lot more, I guess, advanced in like spell work or whatever. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to her. Like, I have to have something to protect you before you just decide you want to get out. And I was like, no, because at this point I was already like, I feel like the deception was falling off where I was seeing things for what it was. And I was like, I can't say that I'm getting out and then allow you to do spell work for me. Like, no, like, I'll take my chances. I'm cool. Don't do nothing for me. Don't put my name on no altars. Don't do nothing. Just let me be. I'm going to bow out. That was the last time I had talked to her. Actually, up until a few months ago, honestly. I hadn't talked to her in years. But, so when he said something about the legal thing, like I said, I knew it was something spiritually. And my mind tried to wrap around what I can undo spiritually to make everything stop. Like, I knew during that time that I made contracts and covenants in the spirit that I wasn't aware of. And I also knew undoing that was going to be the key to freeing me. But that is where my mind went crazy, like trying to think of things that I could do. So it made me, okay, y'all, let me go ahead and say, I kept going back to that church. I went back to that church a couple of times. The last time I went to the church, I ran out. Like, you know how people be like, you ran from God. Y'all, I physically ran out of this church. Like, he kept telling me, like, he kept prophesying over me, but he would say things that was so similar to the witch, like talking about my wealth. The witch had told me one time that, like, the angels are like kissing your feet, and I would have pennies at my feet. She would show me, like, it's an angel showing up as bronze at your feet. Y'all, I went to a restaurant one time to use the restroom, and when I went in the stall, it was nothing there. When I looked down coming out, it was pennies scattered all around my feet. And she was like, your angels is trying to show you they there. Like, they're showing themselves. She kept saying it's the angels showing up as like bronze or something. So then when I went to church, the pastor was like, I see wealth all around your feet. It reminded me of those pennies, and what the tarot reader said spun me, like took me off. Then he kept talking about like generational wealth, and I'm like, how is he saying the same thing as a tarot reader? Like, the fact that I knew that she was deception, my mind automatically went to, this man is doing spell work. Like, how are you saying the same exact stuff that she's saying? What else did he say? Oh my God, it was something he said that literally threw me. Oh, he was saying something about being pregnant. He was like, you're about to give birth. You're pregnant. He was like, so you're going through like these pains almost like a woman that's really about to give birth, and you don't understand it, but you got to understand that you're pregnant, like in spirit. You're about to give birth. He was like, so all that pressure, but that's the same time he was saying like, you're about to break these generational curses. Like, it's a lot of pressure on you. And he kept saying, like, making it very clear, like, I know it's heavy. Like, I know it's heavy, and it's going to be heavier, but you're going to be the one to break it. And he was just talking about cycles and all of this stuff. But the thing going back to giving birth, y'all, that's a whole nother thing. I had a reading that said I was pregnant. And I was like, well, I'm not pregnant. And she was like, you are. Like, it's showing you pregnant, or you about to be pregnant or something. Long story short, my cycle has synced to the moon phases. When the full moon comes, my cycle would start. Y'all, weird. My menstrual cycle would start at the start of every full moon. But you got to understand, I was also doing rituals according to the moon. Okay. So this particular time, a full moon came, and I knew that my cycle was going to start. It did not start. So I'm like, wait, she did say I was going to be pregnant. So let me go ahead and take a test. I sat on the toilet, took a test, y'all. 2 tests. I took the one that tells you pregnant or not pregnant. That one was pregnant. Took another one, pregnant or not pregnant. That one said pregnant. Mind you, I had already told the witch that me and my boyfriend had a miscarriage prior to all of everything. Like, before meeting her, before all of that, I had a miscarriage, which also took a toll on my faith. But so when I got the pregnancy test, I'm like, yo, I am pregnant. Like, all of that was crazy to me. But that same night, I started dealing with a lot of spirits. And when I said the spirits would touch me, they would touch me. That night that I found out I was pregnant, the crystals and everything, dealing with the crystals around my stomach and around between my legs, was extremely weird. By the time my doctor's appointment came, because I had just had a miscarriage, it was kind of early. I couldn't get a positive pregnancy test. Like, and that's after the night everything was happening with the crystals, whatever. So I went back to her like, yo, it didn't, I don't know, but what, phantom pregnancy, whatever. So for me to go to him and he was like, you pregnant? Again, that sent me, y'all, everything. I was trying to run away from that lifestyle, everything that she said. So to sit in a church and hear him say the exact same things that this woman said made me go crazy. It was a lot of things he said. But one thing that I will say, like I said, I ended up running out of the church once. It was a demon. I ran out of the church. I could not listen. I couldn't stay under that. Like, in my mind, he was doing spells. It wasn't working for me. So I started chasing God on my own, but it kept getting worse, y'all. Like, the closer I would get, I would just start my day with worship music, sermons, and my mind would go absolutely crazy. Also, because I knew it was something happening in the spirit, like in my mind, this is psychosis telling me something is happening in spirit, but now everybody is a part of it. So I'm not able to trust my boyfriend. My boyfriend is a part of, because you didn't experience nothing that I was experiencing, and I was afraid of him. Like, I thought he was in cahoots with whatever this was. Now this scheme was so much bigger than just this witch. It was the witch. It was my boyfriend. The only person that I did not stop trusting was my daughters. My boyfriend, I'm like, yo, this man is waiting for an opportunity to off me. He probably still talking to this witch for real, because this is why it's just getting worse. How am I chasing God? And the more I chase God, the worse I feel. Like, I would literally study him at night to the point, like, I got to think in my mind how I'm going to get away from him. I didn't trust him. I didn't trust none of my family. Like, y'all, it was so bad to the point where I ended up running away. Part 9. Okay, so part 8 of Destiny Swapping and Spiritual Attack, coming out of New Age spirituality. As I start to get into the psychosis, as well as like the destiny swapping, the psychosis part, I'm going to be very detailed about, only because I know I have to. I am seeing so many people that are experiencing the exact same thing through the exact same sequence that I experienced it, like going on a healing journey from being broken and then being introduced to the same lifestyle, and now they are experiencing spiritual psychosis. So I also see family that are feeling the need to defend themselves from the things that the family member that's experiencing psychosis is saying. I have to be detailed so you kind of understand what that person is dealing with. Okay? It may be too much for some people. I'll give that warning too. It may be too much for some people. But again, I have to be detailed, because my whole thing is to help people and to shine light on things that are hidden, and to share my experience to help people. So again, I left off in part 7 that I ended up running away from home. Okay. The reason why I ended up running away from home is because every time, like during any reading, the witch was always very much she was pro my boyfriend. Like, everything she said was like, he uses every lifetime to find you, to help you. Like, y'all knew each other in past lives, and every life he shows up to help you. Like, he is your helpmate on every path that you choose in every life. Okay, every time. That's your twin flame. She absolutely was for my boyfriend. But another thing she said was something was going to be revealed later on down the line between us. Okay. So as I'm trying to come out of that lifestyle, because I knew she was under deception and I was under deception, everything she said had to be a lie. And that is also why it was really hard for me to hear the same things from a pastor that I was hearing from a tarot reader. Okay. So that's what spun me. Imagine trying to run away from a monster and then you come across somebody that sounds just like the monster. That's what it felt like. And then the fact that I was very aware of how active the spirit realm was because of how I went throughout this lifestyle. It's like I knew in my mind, like, yo, you're never really alone. Like, the fact that you can see, and that's another thing, like, the spirit realm is so active, and I never realized that until I went through that lifestyle. So the fact that I'm aware of this whole different realm that is moving and very active around me, and I'm trying to get away from it, I don't know how to navigate that. It just felt like it turned into paranoia. Plain and simple, it turned into paranoia. So I wasn't able to trust the pastor, like I said, because his prophecy sounded a lot like the same thing that the witch was saying. I later learned that, I don't know, I'll get into that later. And again, I said I ran away from home. I ran away from home and stopped trusting my boyfriend because of the things that she said. I had to stop going to church, like I said. No, this is before running away. I had to stop going to church because I no longer trusted the pastor. I ran out of the church. I was on Facebook and I came in contact with this woman that was doing a ministry of deliverance, right? And she was talking about removing like all of the witchcraft stuff out of your home and people being deceived, Christians being deceived by witchcraft. So you need to throw out, she was naming everything that I had, but I had already thrown this stuff out. Crystals. She even said owls, which was different, but she was like, get rid of owls and, sage. She was telling everybody how to cleanse their house. And she was also like showing recordings of her doing deliverance, right? So I knew I needed deliverance. Like, it was no question about it. I knew I needed deliverance. So I reached out to her on Facebook and I was like, you know what? I said, I'm dealing with a lot of the things that you were talking about and I need deliverance. Like, can you help me? And she was asking me to tell her like the stuff that I had gotten into, whatever. This is all through Messenger. So I had wrote it to her. And then she was like, she set up a time to get on Zoom with her. And she said, before the Zoom call, I want you to go through your house and just clean everything out. Like, I knew I had already gotten rid of all the crystals, all of that. Like, everything was out of my house. But she said to do a deep cleaning. So I'm like, all right, waiting for that appointment. I started to do a deep cleaning. Keep in mind, I'm still very much afraid of my boyfriend. But it's not to a point where, and I even told him during this time, I was like, I think I'm schizophrenic. Like, something's happening. I don't know. Like, my thoughts are crazy. I think I'm schizophrenic. And he was just like, what's going on? I think at this point he was realizing something wasn't right. Mind you, this whole time I'm keeping a lot under wraps. He knew I was going through this healing journey, and I would tell him like, oh, I had a read-in, but he never knew like how deep I had gotten, right? But me saying that out loud, and I guess him noticing like, yo, something is going on. Like, something is shifting. And I was like, I really think I'm schizophrenic. I don't know. But yeah, she gave me a time to get on Zoom with her and told me to clean the house. This should have been a clear indication that I was slipping. But she told me to clean. Y'all, when I tell you I cleaned my house, I did my regular deep cleaning, bleaching, everything. But I was throwing away all my combs, all my brushes, because they had my hair in it. And I'm like, anything that touched my head, I was aware of something on my head, okay? That's another thing I have to emphasize. For one, I was dealing with this breath in my body, y'all, where it was so forceful, where if I breathed out, it was like a deeper breath that breathed out after mine. When I breathed in, it was another breath that came in that was more powerful than mine. That's how it was. It was like, I only describe it as like being on a ventilator. Like, it felt like something was breathing for me. I don't even know how to explain it. I know it's not going to make sense, but it was like a powerful breath inside of me that was not my own during this time. But also, I was noticing like something with my head. I can't explain it. My head was extremely tight. Something was going on with my head. So I was throwing away anything that had to do with my head, y'all. Like hats that I loved. I threw away my hats. I threw away my combs, my brushes, my pillowcases. Anything that touched my head went in the trash. Anything that touched my boyfriend's head went in the trash. Because again, in my mind, I don't trust him. I haven't said it out loud. But no, I'm not keeping none of your stuff in here. So that should have been an indication like, girl, something is wrong with you. Like, something is wrong. My cleaning was crazy. Waiting for this call. We got on the call. Again, she was asking me different questions, but she was like, are you a dreamer? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay. She was like, you're going to get your dreams back. She was like, but another thing is everything that was stolen from you is going to get back. Like, the enemy is found out. Like, he's going to have to give you back everything that he stole from you. And she was like, somebody is doing some type of, basically like voodoo. Who's doing voodoo? And I was like, again, took me, you shouldn't have said that to me. I was like, I don't know. But at the same time, I kind of felt it. Like, something is not right. She was like, somebody has an article. She said the article of clothing. And I'm like, the only person that would have access to that is like my friends or, you know, my family. But that's not who I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's the witch. So I was like, I don't know who would have access to that. And she sees me spinning, but I think something in her was like, no, I got to stop because she's going to go too far. She's like, don't worry about it. We're going to pray. So she started to do a renouncing prayer. And she was like, how do you feel? No, she said, you're going to start. She said, if you're holding something in your mouth, spit it up, because those are demons. I was holding all this spit in my mouth, y'all. It was just foam coming in my mouth and I was holding it. She said, spit it up. She was like, but spit it in a napkin and don't leave it in your house. So this whole time she praying, I'm spitting up all of this foam out of my mouth, y'all. And after a while, she was like, how do you feel? I was like, I feel like something's gripping my head, which I did, y'all. It was like, I could feel something squeezing my head so tight. My head was tilting as she was talking. Like, and I could tell it wasn't me. Like, it was something trying to manifest as she was speaking over this phone. Like, my head was so tight. And I told her my head was tight. She kept praying. She was like, you know what? I rebuke every monitoring spirit that is watching you. Again, why did she say that? I don't know. And she was like, I'm going to send you something and I want you to find yourself in it. What she sent me was a whole bunch of different scriptures. And the first one was Jacob wrestling with God. The second one was about something with a family, like family and offense and family keeping you trapped and whatever. She should not have sent me that either. So I'm going to get into, all right, I'm running out of time, part 9. Okay, so part 10 of Destiny Swap and Spiritual Attack, coming out of New Age spirituality. I'm going to be very honest. I'm going to try to keep it as uniform as possible. But again, to keep in mind that Psychosis is keeping in. So like, the time is not a thing in Psychosis. It's like everything kind of runs together. And I'm trying to, keep all my facts together, but then put it in order so it makes sense. But on part 9, I was talking about coming in contact with this woman that was doing a deliverance ministry. And she told me that somebody was doing voodoo. And then after she realized, I don't know if it's something like something told her like, yeah, she's not mentally well, you gotta kind of chill on talking about it. But she was like, we just gonna pray about it, right? But that set me off, like, because I was already feeling that. And then it was certain things the tarot reader said before that made me feel like I didn't have no friends. Like, my friends were in the same group as me. I had a best friend, actually, that was in the same group as me. And one time we were doing, I don't know what we were doing or what I was working on. And she was like, you're going to have to cut your friends off. Like, you're going to have to do this by yourself. And I was like, dang, I only got 2 friends for real. Like, and she knew the best friend because we were all in it together. And she was like, girl, you don't got no friends. But yeah, it was certain things that she was said that would come back, like, somebody's doing voodoo. Like, I just felt like something was being swapped, and that kind of confirmed it to me, but it sent me spiraling just because I'm hearing this woman say it. Like, anytime somebody confirmed anything that like paranoia or psychosis was already telling me, just sent me, like, and that sent me. But again, she left me with this email. One of the things it was like a 12-page PDF of, I'll get to that. The first one, like I said, was Jacob wrestling with God. I didn't know what that means. To this day, I still don't even know why she sent me that, but she told me to find myself in what I was reading. Okay, the 12-page PDF was about like a family, offense in a family, and a family basically like keeping you from understanding who you were, like, and it was like a generational thing. And although I wish I could read it now, I don't even know what it was. I'm not gonna lie, I can't wrap my mind around what I was reading, but the way that I was reading it was warning me that my family had put plans in motion since I was a baby to keep me trapped and to get me to a place of selling my soul. And I also felt like my family was using me for their benefit, like I was a pawn or something that my family was using to keep themselves out of trouble. I don't know, but that's what I was reading. I don't know what it said, but that's the way that I received that. My mind was twisting everything by this point. Like, it was twisting everything. And not even just my family. At this point, I realized psychosis. I'm going to say that a lot, but that's psychosis, okay? So I'm realizing that my boyfriend is also a part of this grand scheme, and him coming into my life was something that was all plotted and set up, and now I have to figure out how to get him out of my life, because that's going to be a key to getting me off of whatever this legal thing is. Like, and that's another thing. Everything that was called legal, like, especially the pastor saying, first of all, the tarot reader said something about something legal happening, and then the pastor said something about something legal happening, and me knowing it was spiritual, like, I knew it was spiritual. So in my mind, I'm like, yo, this woman that just did the deliverance was warning me of everybody that had something to do with me being trapped in this legal situation, and I have to undo it. That is what my mind was telling me. So yeah, we went and picked somebody up. Me and my boyfriend, after that, I was reading the email as we were going to pick somebody up, and the more I would read it, the more I would slip, like, deeper and deeper into psychosis. By this time, it is overtaking me, y'all. And as he's driving, I'm noticing something in the windshield that was like, the windshield wipers that was just shaking. It was like rattling. And I'm like, well, what is that? Right? But I made up in my mind, like, when we get home, I have to go. Because I don't trust him. We picked somebody up, so now I feel like y'all in cahoots together, and I'm going to be by myself, and y'all going to do something to me when I'm by myself. By the time we got back to the house, the person that we picked up, it was like a demon. I looked at them as soon as we got in the house, and they turned and looked at me. It was like a demon on their face that just twisted and was just grinning at me, y'all. I'm like, oh shoot, like, this is real, right? I don't go nowhere by myself, right? But I told my boyfriend, mind you, it's late at night. I'm like, hey, I'm about to go to the store. And he like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the store. I'll be right back. In my mind, I already knew I was running away. I ran upstairs. I got everything that I felt I just needed, like money. And I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here, Chucky. I'm getting out of here. I got in the car. And of course, once I pulled off, immediately I seen a car pull off after me. In my mind, my boyfriend got somebody tracking me. Like, this man already knew I was going to run away. I didn't play this off well enough to let him know that I was on to him. And now he already had people waiting. So, not even just somebody pulled off behind me, which is normal behavior, y'all. Like, but in my mind, somebody is chasing me. I get in my car, but then I'm re-noticing the thing that was in the windshield wipers moving. And I'm like, God darn. I didn't even think about the fact that this man put a tracker on my car. The car can't stay with me. Like, this is all what I'm processing as I'm running away, okay? But at the same time, I'm blocking my boyfriend. I'm blocking the person that we just picked up. I'm blocking all his family, because all of y'all are trying to get me. Y'all crazy. And finally, I'm woken up, and I understand that I'm in danger, and y'all didn't think I was smart enough to realize y'all was going to unalive me. That's what's going on in my mind. I called my ex-husband. That's another person that I trusted. And I'm like, hey, I need you to come get me. Like, I'm in danger. Something is wrong. And he was like, what are you talking about? It's late, y'all. And I was like, I need you to come get me. And I told him to meet me at this gas station. And I didn't explain much, but he just like, yo, what is she talking about? We had our kids at the time. And mind you, when my daughter had just left the day before, I knew she had to leave because I felt myself slipping and I didn't know what was happening. My youngest daughter was crying and was like, Mom, I don't want to leave you. That sent me, because, girl, she knows more than what I know. Like, you know, these people about to do something to me. Like, and she never cries leaving, but she was crying leaving me that night. Anyway, I got to the gas station and I'm like, panicked. Like, I'm losing it. Y'all, I'm losing it. I'm like, okay, there's a tracker on my car. This freaking person, he got this person chasing me. I'm just saying off the wall stuff, y'all. Off the wall stuff. I get in the car and I'm like, all right, you have to take me to my other friend. I had another friend. I was like, I'm gonna just meet her and go, like, out of town. I just know I can't go home, but I can't take this car with me. I left my car where it was with everything in it. I'm not touching that car. This man got this car tracked, and I'm waiting for my ex-husband to take me to my friend. Y'all, this is when the night gets even worse, but that's going to be part 11. Part 11 of Destiny Swapping and Spiritual Attack, coming out of New Age Spirituality. I'm trying to get this part over with. I hate it. So yeah, my ex-husband picks me up from the gas station after me running away from home and me deciding I need to ditch my car because my boyfriend has a tracker on it. I've already blocked my boyfriend, y'all, and mind you, he thinks I'm going to a store up the street. So I know he's already like, yo, where is she at? For one, why would she just up and leave? I don't go to no store that late at night by myself. Like, that was already weird. But I blocked him. I blocked every actual person that I thought he can get in contact with me from. And I get in the car with my ex-husband. I'm looking in the back seat. My daughter's in the back seat, and they're just looking at me like, what is happening? And I'm just looking at them, and I just kept saying, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. And I'm talking to myself out loud, like, I put them in danger, blah, 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 blah. And they don't know nothing that's going on. I'm just talking off the wall about people chasing me, about me being in danger. Like, y'all, I'm so sorry. We have to get out of here. I got all the money, which was like $17 or something. It was like $17, y'all. That's all I had in the house. I did not go to my bank, nothing. Like, I'm gonna take this $17. We got to get up out of here. I don't know where we going, Cuba, whatever. I'm just ranting out loud, like, y'all, we are in danger. Okay. My ex-husband ended up taking me to another town, and I meet my friend. My friend, which I'm typically cool with, like, she's cool, and she was also with her boyfriend. And I get in the back seat, and my oldest daughter, before I got in her car, she just looked at me and was like, Mom, are you gonna be okay? Like, are you okay? Like, are you okay to be by yourself? Are you gonna be okay? And I could tell they knew, like, something went right. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. Because one thing about psychosis, it's gonna make you still sound like you got it together at some points. And that's what confuses people. Like, yo, you sound like you cool. Like, everything you my psychosis was so slick, y'all, that I could be talking off the wall and have people believe in everything that I was saying, to the point where they had to come to an understanding, like, dang, she just so enlightened that I can't understand it because of how enlightened she is. That's what psychosis was making me do, right? So again, no, I'm cool. I'm just figuring stuff out. Like, I'm sorry I got y'all in danger, but I'm gonna fix it, right? I had to take me somewhere by myself. But again, I was like, just take me to a hotel. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to a hotel. They drive me to the hotel, and then all of a sudden, I'm noticing, like, the same demon that I was running away from in my house that was on that person's face was on the driver's face, which is my friend's boyfriend. I looked up in his mirror, like, he was looking in the rearview mirror at me in the back seat, and I seen that demon smiling, like, the same demon. So I'm like, yo, the demons are chasing me. But at the same time, it wasn't even that I seen it. It felt like I was in a whirlwind where I was just seeing, like, spirits just dancing all around my face. Imagine just like dark demons just swirling. They were just swirling all around my face, where I felt like, imagine it like a swarm of bees, where I felt like I had to fight them off, like, get off of me, leave me alone. And that's what I was screaming, y'all. It was like a thunder that came out of me, like, leave me alone, get off of me, y'all. I was going crazy in the back seat. My friend, she crawled into the back seat, and she was just like crying, like, yo, what is happening, Nisi? What is going on? What is going on? I was like, get off me, get away from me, get away from me. Girl, it was a mess. Anyway, I was like, once we got pulled up to the hotel, and my friend's boyfriend was like, what do you think is happening? And I was like, somebody is doing spells on me. I was like, I can feel it. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I can feel somebody doing spells on me. And the friend that I was talking about was in the group. She always had my license. She didn't have her own license. She's always had my license since I can remember, since probably like 17, 18, I don't know. But she always used my license. And I was like, I kept seeing my license like on an altar, right, during this time. I'm like, it's her. I said, it's the friend. I said, she's using my license, and I see her doing spells. And my friend's boyfriend was like, she would never do nothing like that. Like, you wild. Like, that's not, she wouldn't do nothing like that. I'm like, all right, so now I can't even trust you, because now I don't trust you. Now I feel like you a part of it too, and you trying to make me feel like I'm crazy, and I know I'm not crazy. This girl's doing spells because her cards were terrible, and mine was always good. Like, that's what's in my mind. All right. I get into the hotel. My friend is begging me, like, Nisi, can I stay with you? And I'm like, no, I need to be by myself. I gotta stay by myself. By this time, I'm on the phone. I'm on like a 3-way FaceTime with my sister, my aunt, and my cousin, not the cousin that was in, it was a whole nother cousin. And yo, I ain't even gonna get into that, but we were on three-way and they were praying. My aunt kept telling me to speak in tongues. I'm like, I don't know how to speak in tongues. She was like, Nisi, just open your mouth, you have to speak in tongues. And I couldn't do it. Like, I could not do it. And at the same time, it was something coming up again. I kept getting these like rages inside of me. Something was coming up again. This friend that brought me here, she was still in the room and she was kneeled down on the floor and she was saying something. I don't know what the heck she was saying, but she kept saying something about, I don't want you to die. I don't want you to die. Da-da-da-da. You're gonna die. And I'm like, what the are you saying? Like, girl, what are you saying? But she's always been the type of person to say, she don't understand the power of her tongue. And I never played about that, even when I was in my right mind. So for me to hear you constantly saying something about me dying, like, it did not go well for me. It sent me over. It was a monster. I was like, I'm not going nowhere. And she was just looking like, but at the same time, I started going back in this whirlwind, y'all. Like, I kept seeing all of these spirits just dancing around me, like, in this room. And my mind is just spinning, looking at everything. But in the middle of me seeing all these spirits dancing, I'm going into a vision. And the vision is this same friend that I said had my license. And she is sitting, like, at an altar. She was sitting, not necessarily an altar, but she was sitting in something doing a ritual. And I could see how she had things laid out with me in front of me. So I'm like, it's her. And I'm yelling out loud. I'm like, yo, it's her. She's doing spells. Like, she's doing spells. I can see her. But I'm seeing her doing spell work on me. And I wanted to believe she didn't know that whatever spell work she was doing was attacking me and swapping whatever I was dealing with. Like, it was causing whatever that attack was. But I also seen her with the witch, right? And I'm seeing all of this. So I'm trying to bang myself out of this vision, y'all, to the point where I am banging on the walls. And keep in mind, usually my visions are on point, okay? I'm banging on the walls in the room, just screaming and hollering like, leave me alone, get off of me. Like, I'm thinking whatever I'm seeing in this vision, me banging and doing all of this was going to get them to stop, like, to hear me. Like, yo, I can see you, stop, right? All right, so the cousin on the phone, everybody just got quiet. Oh, and then I'm steady listening to this friend in the corner saying stuff about me dying, whatever, and I just yelled like, yo, you got to get out. But it was a rage. I can't even make my voice like that. That was not me. I was like, get out. She's crying. She gets out the door, and everybody on the phone, I said I was on that three-way, just kind of fell silent, listening to everything happening. And I got off the phone. And I text one of my cousins. I was like, do you think I need to go to the mental hospital? She was like, yeah. And I called 911, like, hey, come get me. Like, please come get me. And then I messaged the Deliverance minister, and I was like, I'm about to go to the hospital. I'm losing my mind. She was like, Janice, do not go there. You are not losing your mind. She said, you are being attacked by a deceptive spirit. Go home. Jesus has a hedge of protection around your house. You need to go home. You're not crazy. Part 12. Okay, so part 12 of Destiny Swapping and Spiritual Attack, coming out of New Age spirituality. But I left on part 11 and I was talking about me calling 911 to come get me. And I don't know why, to people that's probably listening, is like, girl, duh, you've been needed help. Like, that's apparent. But I feel like before that point, I thought it was something that I could deal with spiritually, because I knew that I was dealing with something spiritual. And I went to church and I got the prophecy, and as much as something fought me to tell me, like, that's not for you, he ain't talking about you, especially not you, you went too far. Like, that's stuff that I was thinking a lot of times. But then there was another part of me that held on to that, and that was the only thing that could keep me going, as I was realizing, like, this is just getting worse. That was the moment where I realized I needed some help outside of somebody just praying for me. Like, I tried that, that's not working. And again, the closer I try to get to God, y'all, mind you, I'm waking up, I'm praying, I am listening to my worship music, I'm listening to sermons. The closer I try to get to God, the worse I felt. Like, the more, man, the worse it got. So everything at that point was building a case to prove that I had gone too far. Like, God is not going to show up for you. Like, in the prophecy, he said that God said he's going to fight for you. Like, he's going to show up for you. He's going to fight battles for you. And I was just laying there like, yo, you told me you was going to fight for me. Like, you told me you was going to show up, and you're not showing up. Like, and the fact that he wasn't showing up was like fueling the fact that I already thought in my mind that he was not going to. Like, you went too far. He's not, rightfully so. You turned your back on him, and now he's turned his back on you, and this is proven that you're done. Like, you are done. So I was laying there. I was angry with God, but I was also just like, for the first time, like, laying there like, yo, this is my life. Like, this is real. I'm really losing my mind. Like, y'all, it was so crazy. I was literally just sitting there saying, like, yo, I'm really losing my mind. Like, this is real. And I was coming to the conclusion that I didn't just lose my mind. People were witnessing me losing my mind. I'm somebody that masks a lot. So, I never show any type of vulnerability when it comes time. Nobody ever, I've always tried to portray this put together image. Like, I'm put together. The only thing I want to show you is what I want you to see, and that's just like the highlights. And this is not a highlight. This is far from a highlight. People have witnessed this. And I am at a space where I can't help myself, and clearly nobody can help me. But I knew whatever I was dealing with wanted me to be by myself. That was made very clear. I was not supposed to leave that hotel room. So when I came to the conclusion, like, all right, I need help, I called 911. And again, I had texted my cousin first. I'm like, do you think I need to go to the mental hospital? She was like, yeah. She was like, call them and tell them that you were having a mental break and da-da-da-da. So I did. And I sat waiting for the EMT to show up. Like I said, I did not want them to, I didn't want to stay on the phone. I just needed to kind of sit and reevaluate everything. And quiet before my life changed. Like, it felt like I was turning myself in. Like, I had finally gotten to a point, like, girl, you ran all this time and now you have to turn yourself in. I don't know if they're gonna let me out. I don't know nothing. Like, I had no idea. And the way that things were going, I was like, I'm probably never gonna come out because it's only getting worse, right? And I'm constantly thinking about the people that I witnessed lose their mind and they didn't come back. So I'm like, yo, this is gonna be my last little freedom. Let me enjoy this. I'm laying there in my little pity. When the EMT came, they had noticed that my arm was bleeding because when I was banging on the walls, like, my wrist got caught on the door, like the hook on the door. So when they came in, for whatever reason, I had these moments throughout this that I was able to come to the forefront. Like, I felt like most of the time there was something operating in me that had control. But then there were other times where I was able to come to the forefront, and, like, she was able to evaluate things. And not even just that, she was able to manipulate things. Like, I would come to the forefront and talk like I had complete sense, only to evade help. Like, I was able to come forth when it was time for me to get away from help. Okay? So when the EMT came in and they was looking around asking me questions, and I was like, yeah, I just had a mental break. You know, I just realized I need help. Yeah, I don't even remember what details I gave them besides I'm having a mental break. And they was looking at my wrist like, well, what happened to your wrist? And I said I was banging on the doors and it scratched my wrist. I didn't try to do that. It's just how that looks, I know. But they was like, okay, so they told me it was time to go. And it's like, okay, so we can walk down. Are you good to walk down? And I was like, yeah. And I looked down on the bed and I realized that I had left blood on the bed from my wrist. So I just started stripping the bed of my I started stripping the sheet off the bed. And they was like, no, you can leave that. And I was like, no, I'm not. My blood is on there. I'm not leaving my blood here. And again, I'm still thinking, like, everything that I seen is still here. I'm not, why would I leave my blood here? And they doing voodoo. Like, I don't know who gonna get this sheet. I'm not doing that. And they were just like, okay, well, all right. And the whole ride, I'm still sitting at the forefront, y'all. So I'm processing everything. Like, yo, this is really my life. Like, I'm turning myself in. Oh, so yeah, I text the lady that I had talked to earlier that was doing a Deliverance, and I was like, because she kept saying, like, you're gonna be fine, before we hung up. And I was basically like, girl, you was lying. I'm not fine. It got worse. This was just the earlier, right? So when I texted her, and she was like, you're like, no, don't go with them. You're not. She was like, you're being attacked by a deceptive spirit. Like, you're not crazy. You're being attacked by a deceptive spirit. you don't need to go there. And I was like, well, no, my cousin had dealt with that before. She said, I just need to go. Da, da, da. She was like, that is not your portion. She was like, God has a hedge of protection around your house. You need to go home. I said, I can't go home. Like, I ran away from everybody. I done pushed everybody away. I'm going to be by myself. I can't go home by myself. And she was like, God, Jesus is there with you. You're not going to be by yourself. Anyway, it was too late. I already called him. But by the time I got in the truck with the ambulance, I was like, I had changed my mind. Like, all right, so maybe she right. Like, maybe I need to go home and fight, because I feel like if I get here, I don't know what's going to happen. I was sitting on the truck, and everybody was just kind of staring at me. And I'm looking out the corner of my eyes of them trying to figure out, like, yo, what is going on? Like, she don't seem like something wrong. Like, they was trying to figure me out. And I'm feel sane at this point. Like, I swear I was to myself just sitting here. We got to the place, and like I said, I had decided that I did not want help anymore. So I made it like I was having a issue in my relationship, and that is why I abandoned my car and ended up there. So yeah, they made me sleep it off. They asked me a whole bunch of questions, and I made everything kind of build that story that I was having a problem in my relationship and just lost it. And I had to sleep it off. I stayed the night, and then I woke up to somebody else asking me a whole bunch of questions. And she was like, well, in order for you to go, we have to have somebody that's going to be in charge of you to watch over you when you're released. And they was like, well, who's going to get you? Y'all, I don't talk to nobody. Like, I was scared of everybody. So I'm like, dang, I don't know. But I ended up unblocking my boyfriend. And I was like, the nurse was like, so if he gets you, he's going to have to come sign to, basically she made it, the way that my brain processed it was like he was going to have complete control over me. And y'all know I'm running away from any type of contract. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Y'all are nuts. So that was out. She ended up calling my sister, and I could tell by the way that she was looking that my sister was over there snitching and putting pieces together that was missing. And she was like, well, there's some discrepancies in your story, but your sister's coming to get you. Y'all, I decided to leave there and go straight to church. It was terrible. Part 13 of Destiny Swapping and Spiritual Attack, coming out of New Age spirituality. Okay, so I left off at part 12 that my sister was on her way to come get me from the hospital. And this happened to be a Sunday. So when she got there, I'm like, hey, I think we should just go to church, because I need deliverance. Like, besides just needing a hospital, and I don't think the hospital is going to understand, like, yo, I need deliverance. This is way deeper than what a hospital can do for me. So let's try this. So she was like, all right. I feel like as soon as I got back in the car, psychosis started taking over again. Like, my mind started spinning, y'all. And I only describe it as a whirlwind because it feels like, just imagine, like, I don't know. So the same way that I describe seeing visions, this is the same way psychosis looks sometimes, where I was like trapped in a vision where I was no longer seeing what's in front of me. I'm seeing whatever is happening spiritually. I can only describe it as spiritually. In this particular time, on our way to church, I kept telling my sister, like, yo, I am being attacked. Like, this is an attack. I can tell it's an attack. And that's all I kept saying. But as I started spinning again, I started going into this, like, vision. And y'all, this is going to be so hard for me to explain. I still don't know how to put this into words. But I went into, like, a vision. But it was like I was walking into whatever this place was, and I was seeing generations of my family. Like, it went back generations and generations and generations, where imagine, how do I describe it? Imagine it's like a line, right? And all of these generations were trying to succeed at something, whether it's like a job, whether it's like a business, whether it's like even mental health. Everything that we try to succeed at, we would get to this line, and everybody would, that's as far as you can go. You can't go no further. Like, whether we would give up or whatever that principality was, it has been there for years and years, through generations and generations. And I don't know how or why I was seeing this during this time, during psychosis, but I was seeing it clear as day, and I just kept seeing it. And mind you, I wasn't seeing it as like the people in particular. I just kept seeing it that I kept seeing people that represented generation after generation coming to this point. And every time we come to this point, it's like a curse that was there to stop you from going any further. So as I'm seeing it, and then I'm going back thinking about different things, like, yo, this ain't no lie. And I just started spinning again, like, yo, I was spiritually seeing like a principality or a curse that was over my family. And I'm like, the attack is not just on me. The attack is on all of us. But then I started to see, and I don't even know how to describe how I was seeing it, but I was seeing a generational thing of death in my family. And mind you, we kept like experiencing death after death after death after death. And during this time, I don't even remember at this point like what it was, but I was seeing like a principality over that. Like I was seeing something that had control over that as well. Sent me spinning. Like I was spinning. So all my sister here on the outside is me just raging and like screaming, and like it wasn't even like leave me alone. That wasn't no longer like a leave me alone, because I didn't see it as like spirits. I just seen it. It's like it was placed in front of me where I'm seeing it. And then I'm telling her like, yo, it's not just me being attacked. I was like, it's our family has been attacked. Like, y'all, I was going crazy. We got to church, y'all. Mind you, I am still in my clothes from the day before. Never made it home. Like, left the hospital and went straight to church. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, but I thought it was a good idea. We went there again. The pastor was prophesying. This is actually when I ran out. The pastor was prophesying, and before he got to me, he was prophesying to people in front of me. Like, it was a whole nother service. I don't even know what the service was. But before he got to me, the whole time I'm like, yo, I can't stay here. I could feel like it, like I could feel me spilling over. Like, yo, we gotta go. I can't stay here. We gotta go. The closer he got, the more it was just like raging inside of me. So I finally was telling my sister, like, yo, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. He's doing spells. That's what I kept saying. Like, he's doing spells. We gotta get out of here. So I get up and literally run out of the church, and I hear the pastor saying as I'm running, like, just stop running. He was like, you have to stop running. He was like, God is trying to do something for your family. You cannot run. Who can't run? Honey ran straight out of the church. He was not, no, I don't know what you're doing, but you ain't gonna do it to me. Ran out the church. So then the pastor it was another like minister or somebody that I was familiar with. I was familiar with this minister. She ran out after me, and my sister ran out after me, like trying to catch me. And then the minister was coming out after my sister, and I was yelling at her, like, don't touch her. Do not touch her. I thought she was going to touch my nieces and nephews. We had them too. Don't touch them. Do not touch them. Y'all, I was going off. So, we ended up getting in the car, and my sister was like, what is wrong? And mind you, my sister is listening to me while we was on our way to the church, and I sounded like I had so much sense that she's like, well, what's wrong now? Like, she thought like everything I was saying was real. Like, I was explaining the principalities, everything that I was seeing in the spirit. Like, so when I ran out, she's like, yo, I don't see why we ran out. I didn't see anything wrong with the service. Like, what was wrong? And I was like, he's doing spells, whatever. We got up the road a little bit, and then I was like, we got to go back. Like, we got to go back. That was me coming back to the forefront. Like, we got to go back. She was like, okay. So she ended up calling the pastor, and he was like, we're going to have somebody there for her to pray for her. So when we got there, the minister that ran out, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm crying. I was like, it's not me. She was like, you think I don't know that's not you? I knew as soon as I looked at you that wasn't you. But like I said, she knew me. So she started doing this deliverance, y'all, in the church parking lot. I am screaming, like, it screams coming out of me, like I'm collapsing. But at the same time, I feel like she felt defeated, because them spirits were still there, baby. They didn't, they were still there. She ended up praying. She was praying, and once that was over, I'm like, okay. I'm gonna just go home. My boyfriend wasn't there. He had to leave the house the same night that I left because I was very good at convincing people of the things that I was experiencing. And I didn't know where he was. He was blocked, but I knew he wasn't there. I went home, y'all, for the first time, and I sat there for a while. It was like nighttime. By the time night fell, I was sitting there listening to worship music, trying to pray to God, trying to do everything I could. And after a while, I started going back crazy. Like, it kicked back in. By this time, I had become hyper fixated on breaking whatever legal agreements I had. Like, I was still stuck on his legal agreements, and in my mind I had to fix it. Like, what is the legal agreement? So for one, I started by tearing up every paper that had me and my boyfriend's name on it. Then I started tearing up every picture that had us together. Like, I'm like, if I like break that, then I'm gonna break whatever that is. Y'all, it went from that to me remembering that the woman that was doing the deliverance said that there was monitoring spirits. Girl, I filled up the bathtub and threw all of my electronics in the bathtub. Like, all my laptops, all my Apple Watches, everything was in the bathtub. Then I'm like, yo, that's not it. Something is still missing. I started going into another whirlwind, and I was seeing the girl that was at the hotel that night around me. Like, her face just started swirling, and I had locks that she used to take care of. I sat in that mirror, y'all, cut every lock off. Like, this is going to be the key to free me from everything. Cut the lock off. Then I was just looking there afterwards like, Nisi, what are you doing? I'll have to finish part 14. Hold on. So part 14 of Destiny Swap and Spiritual Attack coming out of New Age spirituality. I left off in part 13 that I had just I gotten home from church, and again, I'm going to backtrack because I usually try to speed up towards the end once I see my time is running out and I don't give as much details. But I got home from church, y'all, and once night fell, as I said, I just started to spiral again. I was hyper fixated on being stuck in something and having to get myself out. Like, everything that was ever said was like spinning, like as far as like monitoring spirits, as far as like something legal going on. And then understanding that I felt somebody doing something to me, like some type of spell work, some type of root work. It was something being done. So in my mind, during these psychosis, like spirals, it was like I was trying to untrap myself, like cut off whatever tied me to somebody. In my mind, I was like, I have to figure out what it is to untie me. And then coming to the understanding that a lot of things that you do during that lifestyle, you don't recognize during that time that you're coming into agreement with things. So I'm like, dang, I have to come out of agreement with everything. But it was like my mind was going crazy, like, because I did so much. So what is it that I can do to untrap myself? So during this spiral, like I said, the first thing was to untie all connections to my boyfriend. I thought he had something to do with it, and I'm going to cut off everything. Like I said, I ripped up every piece of paper that had our name together on it. I ripped up every picture, anything that popped out like, oh, this is it. And every time I did something, it was like a, whew, that was close. You get what I'm saying? So every time I rip up a picture, I'm like, oh gosh, that was close. Almost got me. You almost snuck that one in on me. Like, yo, I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do. So it started with the pictures, and like I said, I went back to the woman that did the woman that did the deliverance, saying a monitoring spirit. In my mind, and me going back to the fact that the spiritual advisor would see me in different things, I was like, you know what? These computers think they slick this whole time. Y'all the monitoring spirits. Honey, I wrapped up every computer. My boyfriend had just bought me a new laptop, like a new laptop, and it's like Microsoft pad thing. Nice, y'all. I filled up my whole entire bathtub and put all of my electronics in there, like drowned them. And again, I got this relief, like, whew, that was close. That was close. I'm too smart for y'all, for real. Like, y'all ain't even gonna get one by me. But then after I'm sitting there looking at all the electronics drowning in the tub, making bubbles and stuff, I'm like, dang, that's not it. It's something else. Somebody has to go. So I'm like, what could it be? Like, what is it? What am I missing? So I'm sitting there, and like I said, I started to see the girl that was in the hotel room. Her face just started swirling around me. And I'm like, oh, not you a part of it too. She's a part of it too. That's crazy. I didn't even suspect you. But I'm like, all right, so she did my locks. She took care of my locks. And me knowing that locks, like, your hair carry energy, right? So I started cutting off all my locks. I couldn't find scissors at first, and I'm like, yo, my sister came in here and hid all my scissors, so I gotta deal with her later because she's a part of it too. Like, why would you come in here and hide all my scissors? She was guilty too, but I couldn't. Yeah, I was gonna deal with her later. I ended up using like the razor that I use for my eyebrows, and y'all, it took forever. I had thick locks. Cut all my locks off. I didn't rub that in. Cut all my locks off, and then once I was done, I had that moment again, like, oh my God, you almost got that one on me. Every time I felt like I was getting closer to whatever it was. But then I happened to look up at myself in the mirror, and it reminded me that I had not looked at myself in the mirror in a long time, like a long time. And that was the first time I looked at myself and seen myself. Like, I seen myself, and then I got really sad looking at me, because it was just this sorrow that came over me, like, oh my God, like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? And I kept saying out loud, like, Nisi, what are you doing? What are you doing? Y'all, and I'm just sitting there boo-hooing. So then I'm like, I don't even remember what I ended up doing then. I was ripping up a whole lot of stuff, like trying to find whatever it was, the computers, anything had to go. Like, everything had to go. But then I was sitting there like, you know what? These spirits is about to find me in this house. And I started to feel this urgency that every spirit was about to come back, because during this time I wasn't seeing the demons. So I'm like, they're about to come back, and this time when they come, they're going to off me. I have to get out of here. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the crazy house. That'll teach them. I'm gonna go to the crazy house. So I called 911 again. I gave them the story of, you know, I'm having a mental break. Somebody has to come get me. I am not safe in here by myself. And then once I got off the phone from talking to them, y'all, I just had this like moment where I was so proud of myself. Not because I was about to get help, y'all, but because I thought I just cracked the code of, when these spirits get here, I'm going to be gone. Y'all going to be looking for me, and I'm going to be gone. Too late, right? So I'm waiting for the ambulance. I'm waiting for the people to pull up, and they taking too long. I'm like, yo, y'all got to be a part of it too. It's no way y'all not a part of it, because why are y'all taking this long if I just said I'm not safe? So I'm sitting here looking out the window. Then I call them back like, hey, is there an ETA on y'all pick? Like, y'all, I swear, is there an ETA on y'all picking me up? And she was like, ma'am, they're coming. I'm like, okay. But mind you, keep in mind, I was scared of my boyfriend. And I said in another video that I used to watch him at night, because everything he did just proved to me that he was a part of it. For one, I went through his phone one time, and I wasn't even worried about anything else, y'all. I'm sitting here looking at a message between him and somebody else, which was a guy, and the name of the guy just sent me. It seemed like somebody you would go to do some type of voodoo. And to this day, I don't know why anybody would call themselves that. But anyway, I'm looking at that like, yo, he probably talking to him. He probably the one that set all of this up, whatever, whatever, whatever. But then my boyfriend has a tattoo of a skull. I've never liked skulls, y'all. Ever liked skulls. He has a tattoo of a skull on his arm, and that arm is always facing me when I sleep. So mind you, during the time where I'm hearing you're dying, and then I roll over at night and looking at his tattoo like, man, yeah, he's gonna be the one. This man, he's about to do me in. Like, I would overanalyze everything about this man, y'all. So anyway, keep in mind the tattoo. By the time the ambulance came, my mind had already twisted to make me think that they were a part of this grand scheme, because y'all took too long, and y'all had to go pick up the demons that I'm running from, and that's why it took y'all so long. Y'all was making pit stops. No, I'm not stupid. Y'all stupid if y'all think that I don't know that y'all did that. So the ambulance came out. The man came up to the door, and he had a skull tattoo on his arm. In my mind, I'm like, oh my God, they all brand each other. So now I know you're a part of them. Like, now I know, oh my God, if I get in here, y'all are going to off me. And I kept saying, like, no, who are you? And he was like, ma'am, did you not call 911? I said, who are you? And he was like, I'm here to take you to the hospital. The ambulance was not red and white, y'all. Why in this moment I thought all ambulances were supposed to be red and white, I don't know. But it was blue. And I'm like, this ain't even an ambulance. Like, y'all think I'm so stupid. This is not even an ambulance. Where did you think you were going to take me, sir? Like, where did you think you were going to... Y'all, it's not funny, but looking back, I was bugging. I'm like, yo, this is not even an ambulance. Y'all about to get me in this ambulance, and y'all about to do something to me. The man got irritated, and that's another thing. Y'all got to know how to deal with people with mental health crisis, because they were so irritated with me. Then finally, the woman came out and was like, ma'am, we're just going to take you to the hospital, okay? We're going to get you some help. I was terrified, y'all. It took me forever. I was just standing there like, I don't know. I don't trust it. I'm not going to make it off this ambulance. And they were just like, yo. Again, the man was over it. He walked away like this. Get this woman away from me. Like, does she want help or not? Anyway, I finally get in there. I get to the hospital. They was like, what's your name? Mind you, I had already told the people on the phone my name and my address. I get to the hospital, and this is a regular ER. I got to the ER. They was taking my vitals, and I was just talking off the wall about Jesus coming back. Like, yeah, y'all, I just dodged this bullet because these people about to come to my house and get me, and I'm not even there, dummy. And she was like, well, what is your name? And I was like, I can't tell you my name because you can't put it in the system. If you put it in the system, they're going to be able to find me. And she was just looking like, okay. And then the other nurse was like, well, we'll just pull it from when she called. Like, it's not that serious. By the time I got in my room, y'all, I'm going to tell you, it was a mess. And I'm going to say it funny, but it's not funny. But anyway, I'm going to have to talk about that in part 15. Is it 15? Whatever. Okay, so is it 15? I never thought I'd be this person. Of Destiny Swap and spiritual attack coming out of New Age spirituality. So I left off at getting to the hospital, and I was going through the whole triage process. I was scared to tell the nurses my name. Like, why would I tell you my name? Then anybody can find me. But I also made it very clear, like, do not let anybody know I'm here. I had blocked everybody, including my sister. By this time, everybody was done. Like, I could not trust anybody, y'all. I was by myself. So, once I got to whatever room, like, I immediately went back into a room, and the people from the ambulance kept coming in, like, talking to the nurses, like, snitching and telling them everything that I did. But once I got in my room, I remember going past, like, all of these rainbows in the hallway, and I'm like, oh, wow, rainbows, God is here. But I also need to mention that as I was trying to come out of New Age spirituality and, like, hear from God and experience God, I felt like he was very silent, and I could not hear from him. But there was times where I'm like, dang, was that God? Whether I'm, like, listening to a sermon or something, and something would just, like, stand out to me, or it was certain times where I felt like I was hearing from God, or, like, God was trying to show me, like, I'm here. But I couldn't trust it because I was following different signs through New Age spirituality. So I'm like, is that deception too? Like, is that God trying to let me know, like, he's here? Is that God trying to let me know, like, he's showing up? Like, I didn't know how to decipher it. So after a while, I just started seeing rainbows, like random rainbows, like in the clear sunny sky. It would just be a rainbow. So after, like, seeing a third one, I'm like, man, I think that's God telling me, like, it's going to be okay. And one particular time, it was a rainbow in the perfect shape of a heart. Like, the clouds had made a perfect heart in between, and it was just a rainbow there. So then I started to kind of connect it, like, God knows that I'm not able to identify his voice, and I'm not able to identify when he is speaking to me. So he was using rainbows. So going into this room, and I'm passing all these rainbows, I'm like, dang, so God is here. Like, even if I feel like I'm by myself, he's here. I later figured out that that just means you're on a psych ward, but whatever. I got in a room, and I'm telling everybody, basically they're asking me what landed me there. So I'm explaining, like, yo, I'm figuring out that my whole life people have been trying to harm me. I was like, and the last thing was me realizing that this girl that I thought was my friend, she was in on it, and I've been putting her oil on my head, and I let her do my locks, and this whole time she was the one doing roots on me. And I'm explaining this, y'all, like, exactly. I'm explaining this like it makes perfect sense. Like, why don't you see this? And I'm thinking they're gonna be like, dang, you one of the ones that got away. I'm really thinking that's what they were gonna say. Like, yo, I'm glad you got away. I'm glad you figured it out, girl. Nah, they wasn't. But also, I told y'all I cut my locks off. And I stuffed them in my shirt. So I am sitting in front of these people, bald head, for one, looking as crazy as I sound. And I got these locks stuffed in my bra, like, just a big bulge of locks in my bra, like, poking out my shirt, and trying to convince these people I'm not crazy. Anyway, so yeah, I was sitting there explaining to her, like, everything that led me there, and down to, like, me going through New Age spirituality. Like, I know that I'm being spiritually attacked, so it ain't much y'all gonna be able to do, but I'm just here because I need to be safe, okay? They left me by myself in a room for a little bit after I told them why I was there. And I had a problem with cameras by this point, obviously, because the whole monitoring spirits thing, I'm thinking she's talking about something literally monitoring me. But for every room on that floor, they had a camera, like, facing inside the room. That drove me nuts, because I'm thinking somebody's watching me in these cameras. Like, It was crazy. Another thing, once I was sitting there by myself, I'm realizing, like, I started to spin again. Like, I started to go back into this little whirlwind, whatever. And I'm like, yo, this whole time I got my phone. Like, I kept my phone because my kids were with their dad, and I didn't want to not be able to talk to my kids. But I'm like, dang, I have to get rid of the phone. There's no way that I'm going to be able to keep this phone. So what did I do? I got up off that bed. I filled up the sink that was in the room, and I was drowning my phone, like what any normal person would do, drown the phone. That's the last thing that you have that people could track you with. So as I'm sitting there drowning my phone, quietly, minding my business, the nurse comes back in and she was like, baby, what are you doing? And I was like, I got to get rid of this phone. I forgot, like, they're tracking me on the phone. And she was like, no. Came over and tried to grab my phone and was like, you don't have to do that. You're safe. I promise you're safe. She took my phone and she was sitting there like trying to dry it off. Like, so sweet, y'all. Now that I think about it, I feel so bad. She was so sweet. And honey, Psychosis kicked in and was like, she's a part of it. She do not want you to drown your phone because she knows that's the way that they're tracking you. So she's a part of it. She knows that's the only way that they're going to track you. I go off on this woman, like calling her all types of witches. I really did say witch, though. I didn't say the other word. I was calling her all types of witches during this time. What is it? That thing was going around 2020. Okay. So I was like, and y'all responsible for the spread of this. Y'all witches. I should have known. Blah, 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 blah. Like, y'all, I was fussing this woman out because she was trying to save my phone. From there, she was trying to get me to calm down. I would not calm down, y'all. I ended up, keep in mind, I am bald, y'all. I am bald head in these people's hospital acting a fool. I leave out of my room and I'm just running all through these people's halls, like the whole hospital, and I'm just yelling about them being witches. I was like, they're doing witchcraft on y'all, blah, 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 blah. Y'all, I'm usually a very quiet person. I don't like attention. I don't like drawing attention to myself. So even thinking about this is like, girl, what in the world? I'm yelling, screaming, everything. And then the craziest thing is I ended up seeing my primary doctor there. I didn't even know he worked at the ER, but I remember him looking at me like, oh no, I ain't got nothing to do with that. And bro dipped off the other direction like, nah, don't even call me. He knows me. But bro was not, he didn't want no parts. I was giving them people hell. Do you hear me? Giving them hell with these locks hanging out my shirt and this bald head. All right, so next thing I know, like, they had like 3 security guards coming trying to like get me under control. Like, they were trying to grab me. They could not grab me. I'm fighting at this point, and the strength that I had to fight, honey, I was giving these big men a run for their money, and I was daring them to touch me. I kept saying, I wish you would. I wish you would. Honey, I was, Janice, I was acting a fool in them people hospital. Anyway, the security guards couldn't really do much to me. They finally ended up like grabbing me and pinning me down back into my room where they had to hold me down. Then they injected me with this needle in my thigh. And I looked up at this one nurse. I was like, they're trying to unalive me, aren't they? I said, they're unaliving me. Okay, cool. They're unaliving me. Wow. This is how y'all gonna do it? Wow. A needle? Okay. They was putting a needle in my thigh. And then all of a sudden everything in me just dropped. Like, I could not do nothing. Like, my whole body just went limp. I couldn't fight. I couldn't breathe. That's another thing. But whatever it was made my whole system just kind of lose power. But not even just my body lost power. I could not breathe. I felt like it was like an elephant sitting on my chest. I was struggling to breathe. I was laying there like, yo, I'm about to die. But I was so relieved. Like, I lost all function just laying there. For the first time, I was calm. And I was like, I'm going to die. I could not breathe. Like, this is really the only way to check out. Like, this is the only way I'm going to win is this. So I'll finish it up in part, 16? Okay, so part 16. I'm running these back to back, yo. I'm trying to get this over with. But yeah, I was laying there and my entire body was finally like at ease. But like I said, I could not breathe. And I was coming to the conclusion, like, this is it. So I was laying there for a while, and then I was like, God, I can't believe you left me. Like, I cannot believe you set me up to think that you were going to save me, and you did not. And I was crying. Like, when I tell you I was crying, and I didn't even realize I was talking out loud, like, God, I'm sorry. Like, I said I'm sorry, and you're still not showing up for me. I kept saying it over and over again. Like, I told you I was sorry. I don't know what else you want me to do. Like, why won't you come save me? Why would you let me just fight this by myself? I did not realize I was saying it out loud. But again, I was extremely calm, so my voice was barely like coming out. It was extremely soft. But then the nurses that I pissed off, like, I know y'all pissed off, and I understand why you pissed off, because I did show my natural behind in there, y'all. Like, I was saying some crazy stuff to the point where one nurse wasn't even allowed around me no more. They took her, like, and was like, hey, you got to stay away from her because you're triggering her. And she was just way on the other side. But the other nurses took it personal, like, well, we'll handle it, girl. We'll handle it. Tag me in. Like, they were so mean after that. But then it was this young nurse that came in. Like, she had to be like in her early 20s, y'all. And I was sitting there like, God, why would you leave me? I told you I was sorry. Like, I was just having a moment with God, like, quietly, like, sobbing in this bed. It's dark, everything. She comes beside me, and she's the same nurse that was like, she was rubbing my head when they was putting the needle in my thigh. And I was like, they gonna unalive me, ain't they? And she was like, no, they're not. We just want you to relax. We're just trying to calm you, blah, 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 blah. But she's the same nurse that came back in. She came in by herself this time, and she was listening to me just talk. Now God just forgot about me. She was like, no, he didn't. And I was like, I keep saying I'm sorry, and he doesn't care about me being sorry. I don't know what I gotta do, but he's just left me. Like, he just left me here. He gave up on me. And y'all, I cannot even explain how sweet this woman was. She was like, I promise you, no, he hasn't left you. You're gonna be okay. She was trying her best to calm me down, but it was extremely hard to do. So I wish I knew where she was and who she was, what she looked like. That woman was the sweetest person. Like, not even just what she was saying. You could just tell she just had a sweet spirit, and she was showing so much empathy. Like, she was so sweet. Anyway, I fell asleep eventually, and mind you, my phone was saved, y'all. The nurse that I fussed out for doing it, thank you to you too. Like, I'm so sorry for calling you all those things and doing all that stuff. Like, I wish I knew who these people was. Yeah, I fell asleep, and I had woke up like in between, and I was like, I can't breathe. A nurse that came in, I was like, I can't breathe, and I was struggling to breathe, and she was like, that's not what you're here for. And she just checked my vitals and walked out. I was like, all right, cool, I deserve that, whatever. I fell back asleep eventually, and then I woke back up, and again, time is not a thing, I don't know. I woke back up to this man, and the man just had to be handsome. Like, if you know, you know. I'm sitting here in a bald head. I done lost my mind. The least I could do was look decent. Like, I didn't sound decent. The least I could do was look decent. I'm sitting here with a bald head with my locks sticking out my shirt, and I wake up to this man beside my bed like, hey, Miss Hines, I'm going to take you to a facility. And I'm like, where are you taking me? Like, where are we going? And then I was like, well, do you have, I was like, where are we going? He was like, we're going to take you to somewhere where, they're more suited to help you, And I'm like, good, because these people are crazy. Y'all, I started scooting off this bed. He was like, grab your belongings. Sir, my belongings is in my bra. This is my belongings. Come on, let's go. These people are nuts in here. So he walks me out, and I don't know why, but for some reason, I was not afraid of him. But I knew that at any moment, I could be. So I was kind of scared to go with him. But he was very calming. We walked through the ER past all the nurses that I just acted fool in front of, and out this little side door. And when we got to, it was like a van, and it was like a protective barrier between me and him. Like, I'm in the back, and it's a protective barrier, and he's in the front. But before we got in, he was like, what do you want to listen to? I was like, I want to listen to worship music. He was like, good. He turned on Marvin Sapp, y'all. This whole ride to the mental hospital, I'm just bawling. And the whole time I am pleading to God. Like, every moment I had, it was like pleading to God. Whether I was saying like, yo, I said I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? Like, when are you going to show up? Why are you letting me go out like this? Like, why are you letting me lose my mind? Why have you given up on me? Like, honey, I was a mess going to this mental hospital. We finally get there, and actually I looked at the time when we got there. I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they did my intake. And I had to go in. I was sitting with the first man that was just asking me a whole bunch of questions, and I was telling him, like, I'm actually I'm happy I'm here. I was like, because I need to be away, and I need to have time with just me and God. And I just had my worship music playing on my phone, and he was like, I could tell you're gonna be okay because your heart is tender, like you could still see God in you. He was like, so I'm gonna make it my business to come and see you, make sure you got your Bible, da 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 da. And I'm like, all right, cool, never seen that man again. But then after that, I was taken into like the intake part of it, where I had to strip, I had to take everything off. And when we got down to my bra, she told me to take everything off. So then we got down to my bra, and y'all know my hair is in here, and she was like, what is this? I was like, my hair. And she was like, why do you have your hair? I was like, because I don't want nobody to touch it. Like, I don't want nobody touching my hair. Like, I'm gonna put it with my stuff. I need it to be locked up with everything else. And she was just looking like, huh? I was like, don't touch my hair. Like, plain and simple, don't touch my hair, girl. She was looking at me like I was crazy. Like, girl. Anyway, I got escorted into my room. After that, I got escorted to my room. For whatever reason, y'all, I was not afraid once I got in this building. I don't know why. I was not afraid. Like, the paranoia has stopped. Oh, again, they gave me that shot. That's why. I was still calm from that shot. Anyway, I got to my room. It was dark. So I realized that I had a roommate. She was across the room laying down. But then when they opened the door, she kind of looked up. And she was like, yo, I don't even know what she said. She was having a conversation, and I was like, huh? And she was like, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to her. And I was the only her in there. I was like, oh, I'm really in here. Like, I'm really in here. I am. Absolutely, I am. But I went to sleep. I was still very tired from the shot, now that I know. And I also was very much aware that I was in the room with somebody that was schizophrenic, and she was seeing a person that I was in their business, apparently. I woke up the next morning, they opened the door, and it's just yelling and banging, and like, y'all, it was so loud on that floor where people were like banging on the walls trying to get out. It was people that was like just walking past, just looking at me with these looks, and even still, I knew that they were extremely like out there. I felt safe. I don't know why, but I felt like they could not harm me. And it was weird because around everybody else, I felt like everybody was out to harm me. But these people that were clearly like mentally something was going on, I felt the safest I had felt in months around them. I called my ex-husband and talked to my kids, and I was actually really calm. And he was just like, I'm glad we know you good, da-da-da-da. Like, hearing my kids, of course, I was emotional, but yeah. Then I got switched to another unit. I'll talk about that in the next part. So part 18 of Destiny Swap and Spiritual Attack, coming out of New Age Spirituality. I'm gonna try to run this along because this can be dragged out, and I'm not dragging it out. So I left off at being at the mental hospital for the second time, y'all. I went to a mental hospital twice in 24 hours, and this time I was not able to talk myself out of it. Like, girl, you're here for the long run, you're done. But I was on this unit that was really, I could tell, was for people that was really, really gone mentally. But I felt really safe around them, which was odd because for weeks and weeks and weeks, I didn't feel safe around nobody. But being in this space, even hearing them hollering, like the people were screaming, like doing off the wall and saying off the wall stuff, I felt safe. But another reason why I felt safe is because I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel like they could notice me the way that people outside of this place was noticing me. Like, the only people that noticed me was the nurses when it was time for me to get meds or time to eat. Nobody was paying attention to me for real. Like, I felt invisible, and I needed that. And regardless, I just didn't feel like they were there to hurt me. It was so much going on, y'all. Like, when I tell you, people were just walking around the unit the whole time, like in circles all day long, nonstop, just walking around in a circle. It was others where it was this one that would just preach all day long, like he was a pastor, but he had a whole congregation that would just sit on the floor listening and screaming stuff at him. Like, it was so much going on. I'm not even gonna lie. But it was a lot of times where I would sit there like, yo, is this me? Like, what if only in my mind I'm like a little better off than them, but in reality, people looking at me, I look like them or I sound like them. Like, I don't know. But after a few days, I went in to see the doctor for the first time after a couple of days, and he asked me to explain everything that led up to this point, and I did, and I explained very thoroughly everything that I experienced. And a lot of times when I explain it, I'm like, yo, it can't not make sense to you. Like, this is what it is. But after I was done talking, he was like, Ms. Hines, you were dealing with psychosis. I had never in my life heard that word, let alone anything to let me know what that means. I described it in my book as it felt like I was being given a life sentence. Like, it felt like a sentencing versus a diagnosis. So I'm like, is this something I'm always going to deal with? Like, is this, like, what does that mean? But I was too scared to ask him. Like, I never asked him to elaborate, no, nothing. I was just like, it just kept hitting me like psychosis. Like, what? So I went back to my room and I was just sitting on that. Like, I got psychosis. I don't know what it is, but I got psychosis. And the fact that I'm explaining all of this to you and you came back with one word that I never heard of is crazy to me. But anyway, I was kind of scared just hearing that word. Even saying that word, it just made my stomach just turn. Psychosis. Like, what is that? But I got on the phone. Nobody on that unit. We had 3 phones on the wall. Of course, nobody on that unit used the phone. They didn't talk on the phone, so it was easy for me to use the phone. As I said, I called my ex-husband, I talked to my kids, and then I called my sister. She was relieved to hear from me because, like I said, I hadn't heard from her since we went to church, and I just cut everybody off. And she was like, I'm glad you're getting help. And she was like, what do you need? And I told her what I needed as far as like clothes and like my personal hygiene stuff. And then like an hour or so later, I got a call to the nurse's station, and all the stuff that I asked for was in this bag. And that's the first time I realized somebody actually loved me. Like, for weeks, months even, I never felt like people loved me. I felt like everybody was out to get me. So I was sitting up there like holding back tears, like, yo, she really showed up for me. I'm sitting there smelling my clothes, y'all, and that made me realize like who I am. I don't know how to explain it, but the smell of my clothes, the smell of my house, it made me realize I was loved. So that made me emotional. And then just coming back to myself, like, yo, I felt like myself finally for the first time in a long time. After a few days, a nurse came in and she was just looking at me, and she was like, Ms. Hines? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, are you feeling better? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, we're going to get you to a quieter floor. You think you can go to a quieter floor? Do you want that? And I was like, yeah, but I don't really know. Like, what does that mean? So after a few hours, a woman came escorting me to the quieter floor, y'all. This floor was oddly quiet. Like, as soon as the doors open, it was no noise. I wasn't used to that because I've been on this one floor forever, it felt like, and it was just loud and noisy. So her opening the door, and I'm realizing, like, wait, why is it so quiet? What is going on? And then I came in contact with the first nurse on that floor, she was so loud, y'all, and obnoxious. Oh my God. And she was like, I'm gonna take you to your room. I'm such and such. You're gonna love this floor. Blah, 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 blah. I'm glad they got you up. Da, 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 da. It's a lot quieter. Oh, girl. She took me to my room. I was sitting there and I was just looking at the walls. Everybody had wrote on the walls that clearly said that something was going on mentally. They needed help. They was in the right place. So I'm steady looking at everything on these walls like, yo, this is really my life. Like, I don't want to sit here. And then she was like, well, they're going to be back. They're at activity, so they'll be back shortly. As soon as they came back, you knew it, because they were just chattering. They was chatting, y'all, but it was different. Like, before on the other unit, it was just people screaming and saying like incoherent things. This was people actually holding conversation. They were laughing, and I'm like, I got a little nervous because now I know that y'all are capable of seeing me, like, y'all holding conversations. I don't know. I didn't like it. They made me go to group, and I'm gonna kind of speed this up. So during group, we had to talk about like different things that was happening. A lot of people were there for trying to unalive themselves. Some people were there for substance abuse. So I was watching, mind you, days and days is passing, and I'm watching people come in, like the new people that's coming in, they already going. I'm still sitting here, like, mind you, this is like day 8. So during like the groups, I'm sitting here listening to everybody. I was even offering, that's how I knew I was back, kind of. I was even offering like encouragement to people as they sharing stuff, but I would never share it. I would write it in the book, some stuff that I wanted to write, but I would never share it out loud when it became my turn. And that was a part of the way that you go home. You have to participate in a group, and you have to take your meds. You have to come out your room, okay? But then they would always be so bent on trying to figure out why I was there. They would be in my face like, yo, why are you there? Did you try to unalive yourself? I'm like, no. Did you try to do this? No. Are you on drugs? No. Like, no. And I would never explain why I was there. So then one time they was like, well, what meds are you taking? Because if we know what meds you're taking, we'll know why you here. Mind you, these people, this is not their first rodeo. Like, they've been in and out, in and out, in and out. This is my first time. So once I told them my meds, they was like, wait, no. If you on those meds, you supposed to be on the crazy unit. Like, that's for the real psychos. There's no way you on the meds. So they dismissed the fact that I was on the meds that I told them I was on. And I would hear them day after day talking about this one unit. Like, nobody comes from that unit. Like, that unit is for people that's just waiting for, like, permanent placement. That's for the real crazy people. They don't come back. Like, and it almost sounded like a tall tale. Like, they only heard about the unit, but nobody been on that unit. Like, yeah, man, I heard that unit. Da, 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 da. Like, that's for the real crazy people. Them people are gone. There's no way you want to ever go to that unit. And they didn't. I'm just sitting down looking at my grippy socks like, y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know that's the unit I came from, but yet y'all sitting in my face trying to figure out what I'm there for. I was those people. Like, that was me. Nobody ever put that together. Nobody ever knew that. But it was just weird for me to see them in my face day after day trying to figure out, hey, why I'm there, because I'm on a calm unit. They're like, why are you even here? But y'all didn't even realize I came from that unit that y'all talk about and heard about. Like, that was me. But I had my own little clique, y'all. I could feel myself coming back. Like, my sense of humor was back. So I started to get really, really agitated. Like, I can go home now. You can send me home. I'm watching people come and go, and I'm still just sitting here watching, like, the clock. Like, let me go. I'm good. Like, I got somebody. I eventually went to went to my psychiatrist, and I asked him what psychosis was, and he was like, that means that everything that you experienced wasn't real. That bothered me, because I'm like, what part wasn't real? If I explain everything, starting with dabbling in New Age spirituality, and you just saying everything wasn't real, I kept asking him, like, what wasn't real? He was like, none of it was real. That was basically like your mind playing tricks on you. That never settled right with me. It literally sent me spiraling. But with that, he told me to go ahead to understand that nobody is out to get me. So I was faced with having to call my boyfriend, which I was scared to do. I still didn't trust it. But I had called him. I left out that meeting with him. I called my boyfriend, called his job, and it was like he went on lunch. I'm like, okay, which I was happy. Like, I didn't know what I was going to say anyway. But then, like, 30 minutes later, the desk was like, Janice, you got a phone call. And my heart just dropped because I knew it was him. And when I got on the phone, he was like, babe, I'm so glad. He said, I knew it was you immediately when they told me I had a call. Like, are you okay? And he was just like going on and on and on. Like, I'm so glad you're okay. Like, he was like, you have to know I would never hurt you. I would never hurt the girls. Like, I've been losing my mind. And I felt so bad for the first time, y'all. Like, yo, this is the man that I know. Like, the man that would never hurt me. Like, for the first time, I was seeing my partner. Like, it was just so crazy. I just felt so horrible hearing him on the other side. Like, he was in absolute chaos, thinking about, like, what could be going on. But, okay, so part 19 of Destiny Swap and Spiritual Attack, coming out of New Age Spirituality. So, yeah, I was on the phone with my boyfriend, and like I said, that was the first time he had heard from me in days and days and days and days and days. I knew that part of me realizing that I was dealing with psychosis, and a lot of that being a paranoia of people trying to hurt me, was me finally reaching out to him because he wasn't trying to hurt me. And that was even still hard for me to comprehend. Like, my mind made all that up. Like, I don't know. But once I got on the phone, and like I said, I heard his voice for the first time, and I felt horrible. Like, I felt bad. I was embarrassed. Like, I felt so many different emotions listening to him because he didn't deserve what he was going through. Like, I could tell he was going through a lot. Not knowing what was happening with me, not hearing from me, and then being like the one that took the biggest blow as far as psychosis. Like, I immediately from the start did not trust him. So he took everything as far as like the paranoia. It was all centered around him a lot of times until it kind of progressed where everybody was kind of lumped together. But for the first time, I was just sitting there crying, listening to him. And he was like, you know, I would never hurt you. I would never hurt the girls. Like, you have to know that. I'm going to make sure nothing, basically like, yo, you don't got to worry about nothing. Just worry about getting better. I'm going to make sure, like, you're not going to miss nothing while you in there, like, taking care of the bills, blah, 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 blah. And I got off the phone, y'all. And when I tell you I was a mess, I was a mess. Like, that was the first time in so long that I experienced my partner again. Like, this is who I know. Like, this is who I know him to be. So the fact that my mind tricked me out of that, it was just wild to me. But at the same time, I'm still dealing with, like, what part wasn't real? Because y'all know, even going back through this whole story time, and for somebody to sit down and be like, yo, you were going through psychosis, that wasn't real. What wasn't real? That was the main question for me. But anyway, as the days progressed, I was giving my daughters days. Like, I'm going to be out. I should be out in 3 days. And none of those days came true. Like, every day I was still in there. So one of the last phone calls I had with them, I was just sobbing. Mind you, most of the time, even talking to my ex-husband, like, by this time, like I said, my personality was back, so I was making light of everything. Like, I'm sitting here reminiscing on the things that I was doing, and it just reminded me of, like, the stand-up with Martin when he lost his mind. So I'm on there, like, cracking up on the phone, like, and that was most of my conversations. I mean, we just going over everything, like, yo, I really lost my mind. Like, I really embarrassed myself out here. Like, and I was laughing. But then this one day, it was like every day had came and gone that I thought I was leaving. And I got on the phone and I couldn't even say hello. I was just crying. Like, I want to go home. Like, I want my kids. Like, I just felt like a guinea pig at this point. And I was just watching everybody leave. Everybody was gone but me. Like, I'm the only one that started and still here. I was watching people come in and they're already going. Every time I would mention it, like, yo, I can go home. Just give me my meds. Like, I can go home. Just give me my meds and I'll go into the outpatient. Like, why am I still here? And he would always go back to the people at the hospital. Like, according to the people at the hospital, you need to stay a little longer, blah, 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 blah. He would always throw that in my face. It was pissing me off, y'all. But yeah, this day, I was just sitting on the phone crying. And my ex-husband was like, Janice, you're going to be okay. And mind you, his voice shaking too, trying to keep it together for me. Like, you about to cry too. He's like, you're going to be okay. Like, you good. This is just gonna be something you look back on. I wasn't trying to hear none of that. Like, I want to go home. That's all I kept saying. Like, I want to go home. Like, I want my kids. I need to go home. Like, I was a mess this day, wanting to go home. And then the fact that I didn't know when I could see my kids. Like, they couldn't come to see me. It was during that time where that thing was going around, so we weren't allowed to have visitors. No, nothing. But then after talking to my boyfriend that day, the next day I woke up and it was these big bouquet of flowers, like, on the desk. And the nurses called me over and was like, Miss Hines, you got flowers, but we're not allowed to take it to your room, so you're just going to have to see them. So he had these big flowers. He had magazines. I think it was, like, coloring books. Everything that I could have, he sent. But every day I came out the room, I was just looking at these flowers, like, letting me know, like, somebody was rooting for me out there. Like, somebody out there was waiting for me. Like, but it was still extremely hard. It was very hard. It was extremely hard in there. And then finally, day 13, they called me in and was like, you're being discharged. Honey, when I tell you, you ain't got to tell me twice. I don't even need nothing out that room. Just get me out of here, for real. I walked out and it didn't even feel real. It felt like they were going to change their mind. Like, psych, girl, you ain't going nowhere. It did not feel real until I went to the last set of doors, where I knew, like, okay, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here, Chucky. And I opened the doors, and my boyfriend was sitting there with roses, y'all, outside the car. He was outside the car standing there with roses, and I just immediately went up and hugged him. And again, for the first time, y'all, I felt him. Like, I was terrified of him before. Like, I was terrified of him going into this hospital, and for weeks, and even I'll say a couple of months before then, and me actually hugging him during this time, it just felt so warm. Like, I felt so protected. And that's exactly how I always felt with him, like, protected. Like, he always had this overpowering feeling of love when you're around him. Like, that's just what he feels like. Like, feeling him feels like love. Experiencing him feels like love. So for me to be robbed of that because of psychosis, and me finally, like, embracing him and just feeling that all over again, yo, I was a mess. Like, I was a mess. I was on meds, heavily medicated during this time. A lot of times people still don't understand why I was that heavily medicated. It took me a while. Going home, I thought I was going to be okay. Like, everything is going to be fine. You know, I found myself in the mental hospital. I was feeling better. But being on these different meds, it just took away everything. Like, they switched it up, and I just felt like a zombie. I didn't feel nothing. Like, it was just weird. I couldn't feel anything. And then coming to the conclusion, I couldn't eat. I couldn't stand for more than, like, 2 minutes. Like, it went backwards for a little bit. Like, even the paranoia came back. A lot of things came back before I started to notice improvement. But I'll say like 3 months of being on the meds and trying to get myself out of it, I needed to come off the meds because I still realized that it was something spiritual, and I felt like I was stable enough where I could fight it spiritually. And I kept trying to tell my psychiatrist, you can't really do that with a psychiatrist. Like, me understanding that I'm fighting something spiritual now, like, I understand that, you know, a part of that was mental, but now spiritually I feel like I'm not able to fight because the meds take away everything. They took away my personality, they took away my ability to function. I couldn't do nothing. Like, I was just a vegetable, for real. I couldn't even write, I couldn't type, I couldn't do nothing. Like, I was just there. So I was telling him, like, yo, I have to get off these meds because I feel like I am fighting with my arms pinned behind my back. Like, now it's time for me to stand up spiritually, and I could not stand up spiritually because of the meds. And I don't suggest anybody to do that, but with my personal experience, I knew I needed the ability to fight spiritually. Like, I needed my mind, I needed all of that, and that's what started me intentionally chasing God, and me finding him in a way that I never found him before, and experiencing him in a way that I had never experienced him before. Like, me coming back to myself and deciding to find God on my own in solitude as I was healing allowed me to start the process of healing, but it also made me go back to where I started. Like, you started this wanting to go on a healing journey, and the way that God did it was step by step. And the way that God took me on this journey of not even just healing, but understanding him, being so close to him, like, I can't even explain it. That's not something I even knew was possible, and it took me so long to even get there. But it's something that I wish I would have done from the beginning. Like, that would have saved me a lot of trauma. It would have saved me a lot of heartache. But God was so intentional about not just my mental healing, but my spiritual healing. And I came out on the other side of that way better than I could have imagined. And there were times that I looked at like, dang, I really wish I could go back to this person before she went through that trauma. But the person that I was before would have never found God the way that I have found God now had I not went through everything that I went through. And being in that position put me in a position to find him with everything in me. Like, I long to know who he is. I learned to know who I am, and that experience and everything after that has put me in a, man, I'm telling you, like, could never make me doubt God, like, ever.